after being diagnosed with terminal cancer. The first thing I did was have my lawyer bring over the divorce papers. Married for 5 years. But his heart had always belonged to someone else. I was hospitalized for half a month coughing up blood. My wife, a doctor, works at this very hospital. Yet she never once came to see me. In the hospital room, the smell of disinfectant stung my nose. I leaned against the headboard, my face probably even paler than the walls. Lawyer Zhang across from me pushed up her glasses and took out a document from her briefcase, but hesitated to hand it over. Mr. Yang, for a divorce, both husband and wife need to sign. Then there's a 30-day cooling-off period. Given your current health condition, I really don't advise you to. I've already made my decision. Cut her off. My voice was a little hoarse, but very firm. I'll get her to sign it. Lawyer Zhang seemed to want to say something. In the end, she swallowed her words. She stood up and gently placed the divorce papers on the nightstand beside my bed. Take care of yourself. The ward door closed softly, leaving me alone once again. 30 days. I repeated the number in my mind. I have to make it through. Suddenly, my stomach churned with a violent, searing pain. The familiar cramping returned. I lunged forward and grabbed the trash can by the bed. Another bout of fierce coughing. Then I vomited a large mouthful of dark red blood. Black spots danced before my eyes. After a long while, the sharp agony slowly faded, leaving me with nothing but a hollowed-out weakness. The air in the room was suffocatingly stifling. I forced myself to sit up, wanting to go downstairs for some fresh air. As soon as I reached the first-floor lobby, I bumped into a white coat rushing over. Xiao Yu, a familiar voice, laced with surprise. What are you doing at the hospital? I looked up and met Zhou Zixuan's beautiful eyes. She was wearing a well-fitted white coat. Her hair was neatly pinned up, revealing a smooth forehead. Her delicate face was now full of confusion. How interesting. I've been hospitalized in this hospital for nearly half a month. Yet Zhou Zixuan, my wife, had no idea I was here, even though this is the hospital where she works. Somewhere in my heart, it felt like a fine needle had pricked me. A sharp, dense pain. But I don't blame her. 5 years of marriage. Has she ever truly cared about me? Forget it. I'm going to die anyway. No need to drag her down any longer. She never loved me to begin with. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, forcing my smile to look natural. Just here for a checkup, and to check in for hospitalization. Makes it easier for insurance reimbursement. My voice was so calm it even surprised myself. Zhou Zixuan nodded. Sure enough, she didn't ask any more questions. She shifted her feet, as if she was about to leave, without even one more word of concern. I sneered inwardly. As she brushed past me, I still called out to her. Oh, right. For the transfer of ownership of the house back home. The final step requires your signature. I pulled out the divorce agreement from the folder I carried with me, purposefully covering the title on the cover with my hand. I flipped directly to the signature line on the last page, and handed it to her along with a pen. Zhou Zixuan took it, her brow furrowed sharply. Years of professional habits made her especially sensitive to text. She instinctively wanted to flip forward to read the content. Just as her fingertips were about to touch the previous page, a tall figure happened to walk in through the hospital entrance, stepping into the corner of his vision. It was Sun Siyu. Zhou Zixuan's movements froze. Her gaze involuntarily drifted in that direction. She hesitated for less than a second, then withdrew her eyes, and quickly signed her name at the end of the agreement. Then shoved the document and pen back into my hands. It's fine, nothing. You should go back now. I still have a consultation. I'm busy. The tone carried his usual impatience. After saying that, he didn't even glance at me again. He turned and walked quickly toward Sun Siyu. In that moment of turning, I clearly saw the smile spreading across his face. Bright and vivid. It was a sight I had never seen in 5 years of marriage. My suspended heart finally dropped heavily. But what followed was a more violent surge of pain. It instantly gripped my heart. Not far away they stood together. Sun Siyu, tall and handsome. Zhou Zixuan, radiant and beautiful. They truly made a perfect pair. I turned my head away. I didn't want to watch anymore. I turned around and dragged my heavy steps toward the elevator. Just as I reached the elevator entrance, I vaguely heard their laughing conversation. It drifted along the corridor. Sister Zixuan, was that patient of yours just now? It was Sun Siyu. A clear, bright voice. An old patient coming back for a follow-up. Zhou Zixuan's voice was so tender it could drip water. Completely different from the coldness she used with me just now. Siyu, wait for me a moment. I'm handing over with a colleague. It'll just take a few patients' cases. It's settled. Big sister is treating you to a movie today. Her voice was filled with impatient eagerness. I held the divorce agreement that had already taken effect. The edge of the paper dug painfully into my palm. I recalled the bits and pieces of these 5 years. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but curl into a bitter smile. I really did come for a checkup. The result was that I only have 1 month left to live. Soon. Zhou Zixuan, don't rush. I'll soon be able to completely return your freedom to you. Returning home, I put down the large pile of medicine from the hospital. I began to slowly pack up the things that belonged to me after the marriage. There are quite a lot of odds and ends. I plan to clear them all out. I don't want them left here after I'm gone. An eyesore to her. Maybe my body really has reached its limit. I only tidied up for a short while, but I was so out of breath from exhaustion. I had to stop and rest. I went back to the bedroom to lie down for a bit. The first thing I saw was the huge wedding photo hanging at the head of the bed. In the photo, Zhou Zixuan was wearing a pure white wedding gown, but her smile seemed somewhat stiff and distant. Back then, I was blinded by love, and thought that smile was incredibly sweet. Now when I look at it, it's just unbearably glaring. I didn't hesitate. I stepped onto a chair and took it down, then shoved it straight into the deepest corner under the bed. Out of sight, out of mind. Maybe that way I'd have a little less trouble. I spent the rest of the day in a cycle of tidying up and resting, just going back and forth. In the early morning, I heard the sound of a key turning in the door. Zhou Zixuan came back. I was in the study at the time, sorting through some old books and documents. She poked her head in and glanced at me. Without saying a word, she just placed a takeout bag she was holding on the desk, then turned and went into the bedroom. Probably when she was changing clothes in the bedroom, she noticed the empty wall. In less than 2 minutes, she came back, leaning against the study door frame. Frowning, she asked me where the wedding photo in the bedroom had gone. I looked up at her calmly. The frame was a bit loose. I was afraid it might fall and hit someone, so I took it down. I've already contacted the shop. The custom new frame hasn't arrived yet. She accepted that explanation. Her face showed no emotion. Before leaving, as if it just occurred to her, she added, I brought you some late-night snacks. I put them on the table. Get some rest early. I stood up belatedly and opened the bag with the logo of a Sichuan restaurant. A pungent, spicy smell immediately rushed out. This boiled beef in chili sauce. I silently stared at the bowl of red oil and thick sauce. My stomach seemed to start cramping faintly again, but my eyes inexplicably felt hot. 5 years of marriage. My digestive system has always been weak. I never dared to touch anything spicy or stimulating. He knew this very well. Yet such a basic thing. Zhou Zixuan had never taken it to heart. If it were before, even just so as not to let down his kindness, to make him a little happier, I would have forced myself to eat it, but now my body is broken. Can't take any more strain. Picked up the bag and went downstairs, and threw it into the trash as it was. Then I went home and cooked myself a small bowl of plain white porridge. From today on, I will no longer wrong myself for Zhou Zixuan. 5 years. I lived for him for 5 years. In this final month, I think it's time I live for myself. After drinking the porridge, my stomach felt a little better. The night was already deep. Remembering the doctor's advice not to stay up late, I returned to the bedroom to sleep. Zhou Zixuan had already finished her shower. She was lying on her side on the other side of the bed, facing away from me, breathing steadily, as if she were asleep. Every other night, as long as we shared the bed, I would habitually reach out and gently wrap my arms around her from behind. She never resisted, but she never turned around either to respond to my embrace. But tonight I didn't move. I also turned my back to her. An invisible chasm lay between us. After a few minutes, from behind me came Zhou Zixuan's voice, tinged with slight confusion. In the silent night, it sounded exceptionally clear. Not hugging me tonight? My body stiffened slightly. Then I made up an excuse. A bit tired. Just go to sleep. She murmured in reply, and said no more. Behind me came the faint sound of rustling. She had probably turned back again. I thought the night would pass so peacefully. But not long after, Zhou Zixuan beside me suddenly switched on the bedside lamp with a click. She sat up. Oh right. She rubbed her eyes. Her voice carried the laziness of just waking up. That contract you had me sign today, let me take a closer look at the terms. Make sure there are no mistakes. Contract? My entire body stiffened suddenly. My heart began to pound wildly in an instant. It almost burst out of my chest. You really want to look at it? I turned around and looked at her. Under the dim light of the bedroom, her face seemed somewhat blurry. I couldn't help but feel a wave of tension. It wasn't that I feared she would refuse the divorce after discovering it. At this point, I knew better than anyone that divorce might be a relief for her. It was just that this disguise of a property contract was like my last pathetic fig leaf at the end of the marriage. I didn't want it to be torn off in front of my face. What's wrong? She seemed to notice the strangeness in my tone. Her brows furrowed slightly. Nothing. Since things have come to this, hiding is useless. I threw back the covers and got out of bed. Walked to the study, picked up the divorce agreement, returned to the bedroom, handed it to her. The cold paper touched her fingertips. She took it. Her fingers pinched the cover, about to open it. At that very moment, the screen of her phone on the nightstand suddenly lit up. Then a sharp ringtone broke the silence of the room. Zhou Zixuan glanced over almost reflexively. Caller ID. The next second, she quickly grabbed the phone. She answered the phone. Her voice carried a warmth and tenderness I had never heard before. It's so late. Why are you suddenly calling me? The voice on the other end was very noisy. I could faintly hear music and a muffled male voice. Zixuan, I feel terrible. I drank too much and can't get back. Could you come keep me company? It was Sun Siyu's voice. Even though it was a bit distorted through the receiver, I could still recognize it immediately. Zhou Zixuan's expression didn't change under the light, but she quickly cast a barely noticeable flicker of panic. My way. Then, without a second thought, she said into the phone, send me the address. Stay where you are and don't move. I'll be right there. The call ended. Zhou Zixuan threw off the covers, got up, and started putting on her coat. She completely forgot about the divorce agreement. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching her hurried movements. A heavy tightness pressed against my chest. In the end, I couldn't hold back. Just as she was about to leave, I opened my mouth and asked, it's so late. Who's looking for you? Where are you going? Zhou Zixuan paused in putting on her shoes. She didn't turn around. Her voice sounded a little strained. It's Director Liu from the hospital. A critical patient under my care. Suddenly became unstable. I have to go check on them right away. I probably won't be back tonight. Don't wait up for me. Get some rest early. With that, she pulled open the door. Her figure quickly disappeared outside. The room fell into a dead silence. Only my increasingly heavy breathing remained. I suddenly laughed. A low chuckle escaped my lips. I laughed and laughed. Tears rolled down without any warning, burning my cheeks painfully. I wiped my face with a self-deprecating smirk. I picked up the divorce agreement abandoned on the bed, gently smoothed out the creases. Just a moment ago it was so close. Just 1 second away. If only she had turned to the first page and seen those 4 big words, divorce agreement, everything would have been laid bare. But he didn't care. That night I locked the bedroom door from inside, lying in bed with eyes wide open, until the sky began to lighten. I lay there until I couldn't bear it any longer. Only then did I get up, continued packing the things I hadn't finished sorting. After we got married, with full enthusiasm and hope, I bought countless couple items. Each one carried my most naive fantasies about home and us. But Zhou Zixuan always found excuses and never used any of them. Those foolishly affectionate items just gathered dust in the corners, becoming the ironic props of my one-man show. Now I no longer linger. I arranged for a pickup on a second-hand platform, planning to get rid of all these things. While waiting for the person, I scrolled through my phone for a while. Somehow, I logged into that WeChat alt account I almost never used. It was registered long ago for some unimportant survey. I had almost forgotten to refresh my moments. A new post suddenly caught my eye, posted by Zhou Zixuan. Just 10 minutes ago. It was a photo. The angle seemed to be taken from a hotel room's floor-to-ceiling window. The first light of dawn. The sky was dyed a gentle orange pink. The caption was simple. Heaven makes you wait, just to let you meet the right person. Happy at this moment. I was completely stunned. My fingers froze on the screen. A few seconds later, I quickly switched back to my main WeChat account. Opened Zhou Zixuan's moments. Still that cold horizontal line. But his friends could only see the last 3 days of posts on his moments. A blank page. It turned out he forgot to block me his alt account when he posted that. An overwhelming sense of absurdity and piercing pain. At the same time, I tried to curl the corner of my mouth, but found I couldn't even force out a self-deprecating smile. At this moment, I finally understood clearly. In Zhou Zixuan's world, I was never the right person. Never. Since that's the case, why should I keep clinging on? Only to be annoying. I might as well be the first to leave. At least that way we can salvage the last shred of fragile dignity for each other. The second-hand recycler finally arrived. I carried a big box of packed-up couple items downstairs to hand over. Just as I turned to go back upstairs, I unexpectedly ran into Zhou Zixuan, who had just come home. She looked at me, then at the still unsealed box of odds and ends on the ground. Her gaze lingered for a moment on a few conspicuous couple items inside. Aren't these things from our house? She blurted out. My hands tightened around the box, but I tried to keep my tone calm. They've been sitting around too long, a bit out of style, and they take up space. So I had someone get rid of them. I'll slowly pick out some new replacements over time. Thinking back to that post in her moments that only I couldn't see, a sharp sting pierced my heart again. But I couldn't let the slightest hint of it show on my face. Zhou Zixuan nodded, didn't ask any more questions, walked straight past me, and went upstairs first. I stood there rooted to the spot, watching her figure disappear up the stairwell. A cold, self-mocking smile gradually curved at the corners of my mouth. Zhou Zixuan is such a smart person. If she had paid just a little attention, how could she not have noticed the emotional shifts in me lately? And the unusual behavior? But she didn't. She never did. But it doesn't matter anymore. Soon I'll be completely gone from her world. Why is Zhou Zixuan coming home right now? It's because she left the treatment plan documents for an important patient at home. He came back to marry me. When I walked in, she was rummaging through the study, buried in her search. There was no exchange between us. The air was so still, only the rustling sound of paper rubbing against itself remained. My body is becoming more and more unreliable. Just carrying a box down one flight of stairs, and now it feels like all my strength is gone. I collapse onto the sofa. Even breathing feels like an effort. Suddenly, a ding from a notification sound went off. That's when I noticed Zhou Zixuan's phone lying on the living room coffee table. The screen lit up because of a new message. My gaze inadvertently swept over it. It was a WeChat preview. Dr. Zhou, tonight our department is having a dinner gathering. You absolutely must bring your boyfriend along. Everyone's waiting to see him. Boyfriend? I frowned. That faint spark of hope inside me. It felt like cold water had been poured on it, hissing up into a puff of white smoke. I intended to pretend I hadn't seen it, but when I looked up, my gaze happened to collide head-on with Zhou Zixuan's. As she walked out of the study holding some documents, she had clearly also seen the glowing phone screen. A flicker of embarrassment and panic, like being caught red-handed, crossed her face. She opened her mouth, as if to explain, yet didn't know where to begin. Watching her look so troubled, that ridiculous shred of pride and expectation in my heart suddenly sank to the very bottom. I forced out what must have been an ugly smile, and took the initiative to speak. Well, are you planning to take me tonight? The moment I asked the question, I honestly didn't hold out any hope myself. It's because Zhou Zixuan and I have a secret marriage, so none of her colleagues at the hospital, or even many of her friends, know she's already married. They don't even know I exist. That's also why, after staying in her hospital for half a month, I was never recognized by any of her coworkers. I know I have no place in her heart, but when it really comes down to this moment, I'm still like a fool, clinging to the hope that she might love me. I wanted to see what his attitude toward me really was. Even just a hint of reluctance, a moment of hesitation would have been enough. Xiaoyu? Zhou Zixuan's brow furrowed even tighter. The expression on her face grew more strained. It was an unmistakable unwillingness. Sure enough, her reaction was like an ice pick that had been sharpened long ago. Steady, precise, and ruthless. It stabbed into the softest part of my heart. The pain wasn't intense, but it was lingering and piercing, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. It jolted me awake in an instant. She had never placed me in the position of a husband or even a partner. Not once. I gave a bitter laugh inwardly. I would no longer put her in a difficult position, and I would save myself what little dignity I had left. I proactively offered her an out. Actually, I was just about to tell you, I have dinner plans with a friend tonight, so I probably can't go with you. This answer clearly made Zhou Zixuan relieved. Her tense shoulders visibly relaxed. A trace of relieved ease even appeared on her face. All right then, fine. Another time, I'll introduce you to them when there's a chance. I gave a soft in response, saying nothing more. I closed my eyes, pretending to be tired. That night, Zhou Zixuan went to the department gathering alone. As soon as she entered the private room, a few female colleagues she was close to enthusiastically pulled her over to sit with them. Seeing no one behind her, everyone immediately started teasing her. Zixuan, weren't you supposed to bring your boyfriend? Where is he? Don't you dare say you don't have one. We saw it with our own eyes the other day. A tall, handsome guy came to see you, and you even took him to a movie. Come clean already. When did you start dating? You've been hiding it so well. The colleagues chattered and teased her from all sides, gradually making Zhou Zixuan unable to fend them off. Under everyone's enthusiastic pressure, she had no choice but to nod and agree. All right, let me ask if he's free. But when she took out her phone, two choices lay before her. Should she call me, the husband she had legally but secretly married? She called Sun Siyu, the childhood neighbor from next door. But this time was different. This time he appeared as her boyfriend. Zhou Zixuan looked at the two names in her contact list. Her finger hovered over the screen for a few seconds. Finally, as if she had made up her mind, her finger landed on Sun Siyu's name. The call connected. Sun Siyu agreed readily. Not long after, he appeared at the door of the private room. As soon as he entered, he immediately drew the attention of many female doctors present. Exclamations of admiration came one after another. No wonder Zixuan had been keeping him hidden. He turned out to be such a handsome young man. Tell us, when did you two start? Who pursued whom? Zixuan, you're really something. Keeping such a great catch to yourself until now. Facing the crowd's questions and teasing, Sun Siyu handled it with poise. Even taking advantage of everyone's distraction, he secretly squeezed Zhou Zixuan's hand under the table. There was no trace of discomfort on his face. He responded with a smile. When it came up that Sun Siyu was 3 years younger than Zhou Zixuan, the atmosphere grew even livelier. Everyone seemed intent on digging into every detail. Zhou Zixuan gradually found it hard to cope. The smile she maintained began to stiffen. Fortunately, during the meal, a rather composed Director Liu stepped in to help her. Director Liu took out a craft paper file bag and handed it to Zhou Zixuan. Xiao Zhou, I just ran into a patient downstairs on my way here. The family said there was an important document left in the ward. They asked me to pass it on. It just so happens that you need to go downstairs later anyway. Give it back to them. Zhou Zixuan felt as if a huge burden had been lifted. She shot a grateful look at Director Liu, took the file bag, and practically fled from the private room. She waited in the hotel lobby downstairs for several minutes, but no one came to claim it. The night breeze was cool. She grew a bit anxious from waiting, and also a little curious. After hesitating for a moment, she casually opened the seal of the file bag. Want to see what the documents are? Maybe based on the content I can tell there are 2 files inside. One is a copy of the medical record. He quickly glanced over it. Diagnosis: advanced malignant tumor. The other is a divorce property. Voluntary waiver of claim statement. So tragic terminal cancer at an advanced stage. And still getting a divorce. Even voluntarily giving up all property. For some reason, Zhou Zixuan's heart skipped an inexplicable beat. A vague, indescribable unease quietly seeped in. He instinctively wanted to open the medical record, to see the patient's name, just as his fingertips were about to touch the patient information column. A hand with distinct knuckles, slightly pale, suddenly reached out from the side, and firmly pressed down on that medical record. Then the whole file was pulled away. Sorry. This document is... Zhou Zixuan pulled her hand back as if shocked. She looked up, about to explain, but froze completely the moment she saw who it was. Her voice changed. Yang Xiaoyu, why is it you? His eyes widened. His gaze darted rapidly between my face and the file in my hand. A terrifying thought suddenly surged up, making her voice start to tremble. This medical record is yours, and this waiver of property. Is your life also yours? Yang Xiaoyu, what exactly are you trying to do? His tone was filled with shock and accusation. But if you listen closely, there seemed to be a trace of barely perceptible panic and concern. I looked into his eyes, trying hard to keep my voice steady and emotionless. It's not mine. It's a friend of mine's. He doesn't want to burden his wife. So actually, I never expected to run into him here. Even less did I expect him to stumble upon the 2 things I've been desperately hiding, my terminal illness and divorce. For a moment, a strange sense of absurd nervousness welled up inside me. Really? Zhou Zixuan narrowed his eyes, staring at me intently, as if trying to find traces of a lie on my face. He caught the fleeting embarrassment and paleness on my face. He clearly didn't believe me. He reached for the waiver again. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. I looked at the hand he extended toward me. My heart was filled with bitterness. I couldn't even be bothered to stop him. I just slowly closed my eyes, waiting for the moment the truth would be exposed. But the expected confrontation never came. A familiar male voice sounded beside her. And at the same time, an arm naturally wrapped around Zhou Zixuan's waist. Zixuan, why did you come downstairs? Everyone is waiting for you. Sun Xiu leaned in intimately, his tone familiar. I opened my eyes. Not only did I see Sun Xiu's overly familiar gesture, but I also saw the panicked look on Zhou Zixuan's face, as if caught red-handed. She instinctively tried to pull away from Sun Xiu's arm, wanting to explain something to me, but with Sun Xiu right there, she simply couldn't bring herself to acknowledge our relationship. Compared to her fluster, I was unusually calm at that moment. My gaze swept lightly over Sun Xiu's face. I reached out and took back the declaration. My tone was distant and polite. I've already received the documents. Thank you, Dr. Zhou. My friend is still waiting. I won't disturb your gathering. After saying that, I didn't look at them anymore. Then I turned and left. On the drive home, my heart felt like it was clogged with a thick piece of waterlogged cotton. Heavy, suffocating, so it was hard to breathe. Uncontrollably, the scene just now kept replaying in my mind. Sun Xiu's hand on Zhou Zixuan's waist. Zhou Zixuan's momentary stiffness. Yet she didn't push him away immediately. As her husband, seeing this, I should have been furious. But perhaps because similar neglect had played out too many times over the past 5 years, my heart seemed to have gone numb. No intense sorrow, only boundless exhaustion and coldness, pressing heavily on my heart. Even breathing feels like an effort to me now. I once gave my all, a one-sided devotion. I've been drifting through life in a daze. Now, in this 30-day cooling-off period where I've chosen to let go, every day feels like a year. Every minute, every second is pure torment. The car window is open, and the night wind howls in, stinging my eyes until they ache. My vision blurs. Without realizing it, 2 streams of icy liquid streak down my face. I raise a hand to wipe away the tears. How pathetic. Before I can suppress the bitterness in my heart, my body sounds the alarm first. A faint, terrifying cramp begins to stir in my stomach. Wave after wave, the pain surges back, fierce and relentless. It erupts without warning, consuming everything. In an instant, it spreads through every limb and joint. Cold sweat beads on my forehead, then trickles down rapidly. My hands, gripping the steering wheel, start trembling uncontrollably. My fingertips turn white from the strain. The doctor was right. The stomach really is an emotional organ. Maybe it's grieving for me too, feeling that I'm not worth it. I force a bitter smile, gathering every ounce of strength left in me, to pull the car over and stop it safely. But my body is so weak that even the strength to press the brake is draining away fast. My vision starts to blur and sway. The world spins and distorts before my eyes. In the end, all I can do is watch helplessly as my car veers and crashes into the roadside guardrail. A deafening crash. The airbag bursts open instantly, slamming hard into my chest and stomach. Pain, like a tsunami, engulfs me. Everything goes black. I lose all consciousness. When I come to again, the familiar smell of disinfectant tells me I'm back in the hospital. A young nurse is changing my forebag. Seeing me awake, she breathes a sigh of relief. You're awake. How are you feeling? The car accident was just minor scrapes. We've already handled it, but you need to notify your family to come over immediately. The doctor has something about your condition that needs to be discussed with your family. I spoke calmly, knowing full well I know about my illness. Just say whatever you need to say directly to me. The nurse was taken aback. She stared at me in surprise. You know? And you still dared to drive yourself here? Her expression turned serious. Mr. Yang, your condition is already very critical. You must notify your family immediately to come take care of you. Starting now, you cannot leave the hospital anymore. The nurse said, in one ear and out the other. But the car accident still needed to be dealt with. In my current state, I couldn't go anywhere. And my parents were far away in another city. After thinking it over, I had no choice but to pull out my phone and call Zhou Zixuan. The ringing went on for a long time, until it automatically hung up. No one answered, so I called again. A string of red missed call alerts on the screen stung my eyes. I let my arm fall weakly. The phone slid onto the sheet. I suppose, right now, she was probably enjoying herself with her beloved boyfriend, Sun Siu, and her colleagues and friends, drinking and laughing. The atmosphere buzzing. Why would she care about a former patient like me, who was irrelevant to her? The nurse saw my movements and ashen expression. Couldn't help asking an extra question. Can't reach your wife? Do you need our hospital to officially help you contact your family? I slowly shook my head. No need. We're already in the divorce cooling-off period. Just over 20 days left. The nurse clearly hadn't expected this answer. She looked at me stunned. Even if you're about to divorce. But you're this sick now. She should at least come to see you, right? To see you. If Zhou Zixuan could really look at me, even just occasionally, maybe I wouldn't have come to this. Wouldn't be so desperate. 5 years of marriage. I was a fool chasing light, pouring all my passion and heart, trying to get close to her, warm her up. But in the end, I didn't get even a shred of genuine response from her. The first year, I cooked dinner with different dishes every day, waiting for her, often waiting until the food went cold, waiting until late at night when she came home and didn't even glance at the table, only coldly dropping a line. Ate at work, overtime, then shut the bedroom door. The second year, she insisted on working while sick. I was so worried I couldn't stand it. I specially took leave to cook light, stomach-soothing congee. Carefully brought it to her department, but she turned cold-faced in front of her colleagues, knocked over the thermos, warning me, Yang Xiaoyu, mind your place. Don't do these overstepping things. That day, the scalding congee splashed all over my hand, raised blisters. But it hurt far less than the coldness in her eyes. That made me ache. The third year, I scrimped and saved 3 months' salary, bought her a designer bag, gave it to her with joy, but she thought I had thrown away her old canvas bag without permission, flew into a rage at me, didn't speak a single word to me for half a year. Only later did I find out that old, faded canvas bag was a gift from Sun Siu when he graduated high school. She had always treasured it. The fourth year, the fifth year, my heart, through the cycle of hope, an ever heavier disappointment, gradually lost its warmth, drained all my strength. All these years, it was just me running toward her direction with unrequited feelings. But she pushed me away again and again, harshly. I finally resigned myself. Zhou Zixuan never cared about me. She never had a single ounce of genuine feeling for me. So she won't come tonight. I know. I gave a bitter smile and turned my phone screen toward the nurse. The screen was filled with glaring red missed call notifications. We wouldn't have ended up getting a divorce. The nurse looked at those missed calls, opened her mouth, but in the end, it only turned into a helpless sigh. Then call a friend or a colleague over. That should be okay, right? You really can't be alone right now. After the nurse left, I called Li Feng. He was the only close friend I had in this city. Li Feng rushed over. First, he went to the traffic police department to handle the accident paperwork for me. Then he came back to the hospital and helped me check out. A few days later, My car was repaired. He went with me to the repair shop to pick it up. Unexpectedly, I ran into Zhou Zixuan again at the repair shop. When he saw my car with the obvious collision damage on the front, he was very surprised. You were in a car accident? When did it happen? Why didn't you tell me? I lifted my head to look at him. In that instant, a flashback crossed my mind. That night's full screen of red, missed calls. The words of explanation rolled around in my throat. In the end, I swallowed them back. Forget it. What was there to say? Just a minor accident. I'm fine. My tone was flat. You're usually so busy, so I didn't specifically tell you. Seeing how overly calm I was, even somewhat distant in attitude, Zhou Zixuan felt a strange, inexplicable pang in her heart, like guilt. She opened her mouth. Subconsciously, she explained, "Oh, right, that night, see you and I just happened to run into each other at the restaurant, and everyone started joking around. It was nothing, really. Don't overthink it." I nodded. My gaze shifted elsewhere. Asked casually, "Heard she got divorced." Zhou Zixuan clearly didn't expect me to suddenly ask that. She paused for a moment before nodding. "Yes, it's been a while." I paused there. Let my gaze fall back onto her face. Forced to smile with no warmth. "You must be pretty happy. Soon you'll be even happier." I said that last part very softly, almost to myself. "What do you mean?" Zhou Zixuan frowned. Didn't catch that, nor did she understand what I meant. Just as she was about to ask, her phone rang. She glanced down at the caller ID. Her expression shifted slightly, made a gesture for me to wait, then took the phone and walked off to answer it. About 10 minutes later, when Zhou Zixuan hung up and came back, Li Feng and I were already in the car, ready to leave. The car window wasn't fully closed. My voice, tinged with amusement, faintly drifted out. "What's the rush? There are still about 10 days, until the divorce cooling-off period ends. Then we'll truly be cut off clean. Peace and quiet. Divorce cooling-off period." Those words were like a thin needle, piercing sharply into Zhou Zixuan's ears. Her heart gave an unexpected, painful twist. She couldn't help but recall that day at the restaurant entrance. The voluntary waiver of property rights in the divorce papers in my hand, and that terminal illness medical record, a terrifying association, instantly stopped her in her tracks. She almost rushed to my car, grabbed onto the half-open window, her voice trembling in a way she didn't even notice herself. "Yang Xiaoyu, what did you just say about a divorce cooling-off period? Who's getting divorced? Is it you? You want a divorce from me?" I didn't expect Zhou Zixuan to react so strongly. I didn't expect her to rush over and confront me directly. Facing her, her gaze seemed to pierce through every facade of mine. For a moment, I felt guilty and flustered. But soon I forced myself to calm down. Almost instinctively, I pushed Li Feng, who was sitting in the passenger seat, out, as a shield. It wasn't me. I averted my eyes. Trying to sound as natural as possible, I said it was Li Feng. "He's been going through a divorce lately." After saying that, I subtly signaled Li Feng with my eyes. Li Feng was taken aback at first, but then he caught my signal. He had no choice but to brace himself under Zhou Zixuan's probing gaze, and nodded awkwardly, yeah, it's me who's getting a divorce. All that messy stuff at home." So it was Li Feng. For some reason, hearing this answer, the taut string in Zhou Zixuan's heart inexplicably loosened a little. But then, the terminally ill patient she had seen that day surfaced in her mind again. She turned her suspicious gaze to Li Feng, scrutinizing him from head to toe, with her years of professional medical experience. Li Feng, though looking a bit tired, had a rosy complexion, and seemed in decent spirits. He didn't look like someone terminally ill with little time left. The doubt in his heart was not dispelled. Instead, it deepened. He stared at Li Feng, his tone carrying clear inquiry. Li Feng glanced at me again, under my signal with my eyes. He had no choice but to continue fabricating. "Yes, it's because of some health issues. I don't want to burden my family. That's why I said." Yet even so, the suspicion on Zhou Zixuan's face did not diminish at all. Her eyes were full of distrust. Afraid that if he kept questioning, the truth would come out, I quickly spoke up, to interrupt my tone, deliberately heavy and helpless. "All right, stop talking. Zixuan, you're a doctor too. You should understand this feeling. Sometimes letting go is a relief for both sides." I paused, deliberately steering the conversation away. "Actually, that day I ran into you at the hospital. I was just there to accompany her for a checkup. I originally planned to have you take a look while you were at it, but you were so busy, and had friends around, so I didn't let him bother you further." Bringing up that day at the hospital, Zhou Zixuan's eyes clearly flickered. A flash of guilt appeared. That day, Sun Xiu happened to come see him. He wasn't sure if I was hinting at something, or had seen something. Oh, I see. His mind was a bit unsettled. Subconsciously, he avoided my gaze. His tone also became perfunctory. "Well, if your friend has any discomfort, it's better to come directly to the hospital for a systematic checkup. Don't delay it." In a panic, He had no heart to keep asking about the details of Li Feng's condition. He casually said a few words, and hurriedly ended the topic. I managed to get by for now, though only by luck. But I felt no relief at all in my heart, because I knew exactly what Zhou Zishuan was thinking at this moment. He didn't really believe Li Feng's excuse. He was just afraid I would dig deeper. That day he was with Sun Xiu. Afraid I would discover the indescribable thing between him and Sun Xiu. That relationship that defies clear explanation. With his years of medical practice, he had such sharp powers of observation. If he had just been a little more careful, he could easily have seen my complexion. My mental state was far worse than Li Feng's. That was the ashen, decaying aura of someone terminally ill. But unfortunately, whenever it involved Sun Xiu, his reason and judgment would instantly vanish. That was probably the state of caring for someone to the extreme. Commonly known as being love-struck. I watched Zhou Zishuan standing by the car, frequently glancing at his phone. I understood in my heart, he was probably about to find an excuse to leave again. Sure enough, before a minute had even passed, Zhou Zishuan's phone vibrated again. He glanced at it, then immediately said to me, "The emergency room just got a critical patient." Said, "I need to head back right away, Xiaoyang. You just had a car accident. Better not drive yourself for a while. Perhaps out of guilt for lying just now. Or maybe a flicker of pity seeing my pale face." Before leaving, she rarely added a few words that carried a hint of concern. "Whenever you need a car again, you can find me. I'll drive you." I looked at her, feeling nothing inside. Even found it a bit ridiculous. But somehow I played along with her words. "Sure. How about 3 days from now? I have a temporary business trip, arranged by the company. You can take me." Zhou Zishuan paused mid-turn, as if she never expected that I would actually make a request. She turned back to meet my calm, indifferent gaze, hesitated for 2 seconds, then finally nodded. "Fine. 3 days from now, right? I'll remember." With that, she hurriedly drove away. 3 days later, I waited from dawn till dusk, and from dusk till late night. Outside the window, the city lights came on. Neon flickered. The city's night was just beginning to buzz. But the person I was waiting for never showed up. I stood on the balcony, looking at the empty parking spot downstairs. My heart was utterly calm. I had already expected this outcome, hadn't I? Maybe I was even secretly hoping for it, so that the last bit of laughable and pathetic hope inside me would die completely. I took out my phone and logged into that WeChat secondary account, refreshed the moment's feed. Zhou Zishuan's profile picture appeared prominently as the first post. No caption, just a short video of a few seconds. I tapped on the video. The background was by the seaside. Night had fallen, but in the deep blue sky, bursts after bursts of dazzling fireworks, almost making the entire sea surface shimmer with flowing colors. And in the very center of the frame, the profile of a man, outlined clearly by the light of the fireworks. He was looking up at the sky, with a bright smile on his face. It was Sun Xiu. The video was very short. It ended quickly. I logged out of the secondary account, switched back to my usual main account, tapped on Zhou Zishuan's moments again. Still a cold horizontal line. Completely blank. I couldn't help but let out a low laugh. The laughter echoed in the empty, quiet room, making it seem especially desolate. So this was what she called a hospital emergency. So once again, for Sun Xiu, she had no hesitation in standing me up. No, it wasn't even standing me up. She probably never even kept my request in mind. I found Zhou Zishuan's phone number, dialed it. It rang for a long time, until I thought it would go unanswered again. The call was finally answered. The background noise was loud and chaotic. I could faintly hear the sound of waves, and the booming sound of fireworks. "Hello," Zhou Zishuan's voice came through, carrying the usual emotion she used when speaking to me, along with a hint of barely perceptible impatience. I held the phone, my fingertips cold, my voice, yet I tried hard to keep it steady. "Hello, it's me. Where are you?" There was a pause on the other end. Then came Zhou Zishuan's almost instantaneous reply. "I'm out of town. The hospital temporarily sent me here to attend an academic exchange meeting. I left in a hurry. No time to tell you. I'll be back in a couple of days." His voice was accompanied by the clear sound of fireworks on the other end of the line. Explosions and the sound of waves, forming such an ironic picture. The last trace of warmth in my heart completely cooled. I didn't even have the desire to expose his clumsy lie. "When did you leave?" I asked, my tone betraying no emotion. "I was notified last minute the night before last." "What's wrong?" He asked back. "Nothing." I lowered my eyes. "Take care. Get some rest early." "Got it. You too." The call ended. The dial tone rang for a long time. Only then did I slowly lower my hand. Sure enough, Sun Xiu is always the first priority, and I'm probably just a tool for Zhou Zishuan to fill the emptiness. Fortunately, I came to my senses in time. I can still push away the one who doesn't love me before I die. Give him his freedom, and let myself go too. I opened my phone calendar. My finger slid across the screen, carefully counting the days until the divorce cooling-off period ends. 7 more days to go. Zhou Zixuan. 7 days from now. There will be no ties between us anymore. I tried to curl the corners of my mouth to smile, but suddenly bent over, bursting into a violent, heart-wrenching cough. I instinctively covered my mouth with my hand, coughing until my vision went black, as if all my internal organs were displaced. Finally calmed down. I opened my palm. In the center was a patch of glaring bright red. See, my life is also entering its final countdown. While Zhou Zixuan is away from home these days, I had planned to hurry and completely move out the remaining things. Make a clean break. But my body is really letting me down. A little movement and I'm covered in cold sweat, dizzy and lightheaded, unable to catch my breath, with no other choice. I had to contact a moving company, ask them to come and pack up all my personal belongings. As for where these things should be sent, I hadn't figured it out yet. Was I supposed to let these old things full of memories be buried in the ground with me? Forget it, they can't stay here anyway. After I die and still be an eyesore to Zhou Zixuan, annoying her. But what I never expected was that while the movers were busy at work, Zhou Zixuan actually came back. She stood at the wide-open front door, looking at the unfamiliar workers bustling around the room, and the living room that was gradually being emptied. She was completely stunned. Zhou Zixuan walked in, her voice full of shock and confusion. "These people, what are you doing?" I had long prepared, my words calmly explaining. "The renovation at the new place is almost done. The environment there is quieter and more private. I thought I'd slowly start moving some things over. You're a light sleeper. Moving here makes a lot of noise. I was afraid it would disturb you." A look of realization flashed across Zhou Zixuan's face, as if she remembered signing the ownership transfer contract at the hospital that day. She nodded, without any suspicion. Maybe she also recalled that I had gone for a checkup that day. She casually asked, "Oh right, where's the report from your checkup that day? Let me have a look. Are there any indicators I need to pay attention to?" My heart tightened slightly, but my expression remained calm. While tidying up the books at hand, I answered in a casual tone. "It's a mess with the moving, the report. Must be stuffed in some box. But nothing major. Everything is fine. Don't worry." Zhou Zixuan let out an "oh," her gaze lingering on my face for a moment. He seemed to finally notice my unusually pale and haggard complexion. His lips moved slightly, but in the end he only said, "You don't look well. Maybe you're worn out from moving these past few days. Make sure to rest more." He didn't think the worst. Perhaps in his heart, I was always someone who could be endlessly taken for granted. How could there be any connection to a terminal illness? "Got it," I replied with a single acknowledgement, then continued packing with my head down. Zhou Zixuan didn't leave either. She just stood in the living room, looking somewhat at a loss. She watched the workers carry out one box after another, then suddenly noticed something and asked in confusion, "How come you're only moving your stuff? Aren't my things being moved together?" My movements paused for a moment. Without lifting my head, "I'm moving mine first. Your things, many are personal items. I'm not sure which ones to take and which to leave behind. Better wait until you come back to decide for yourself." Ever since 2 years ago when I accidentally touched his old canvas bag and triggered that half-year-long Cold War, Zhou Zixuan had clearly drawn a line. I was not allowed to touch his personal belongings. The air fell silent for a few seconds. Zhou Zixuan probably remembered that incident too. A flicker of awkwardness crossed her face. She didn't press further. Instead, she looked at the now much emptier living room, as if sighing, or perhaps just making conversation. "The house suddenly has so much less stuff. Feels strange. But it does make the space look a lot bigger." I gave a soft hum, forcing the corners of my mouth upward slightly. I didn't continue the conversation. After everything was moved out, I followed the workers downstairs. I watched them load each cardboard box onto the truck. Finally, I slipped the driver a piece of paper, with my parents' address in my hometown written on it. I didn't plan to go back to my hometown to wait for death. In the final moments of my life, I just want to leave in peace, alone. But as a son, I can't leave my parents with nothing to hold on to. These old belongings are the last keepsakes I'll leave them. Watching the moving truck drive away, I turned around and unexpectedly saw Zhou Zixuan standing at the entrance of the building, staring at me silently. "Why did you come down?" I asked her. She seemed a bit stunned too, hesitating before she spoke. "Nothing much, just came down for some air. Want to take a walk together?" I was a little surprised. Zhou Zixuan actually offered to walk with me. In the past 5 years, that was as rare as the sun rising in the west. Since she was in the mood, even though I was physically exhausted, I didn't refuse. After all, I wouldn't be walking much longer. Sure. We walked side by side along the quiet path in the neighborhood, neither of us speaking. The atmosphere was subtly awkward. We'd barely taken a few steps, when someone suddenly appeared around the corner ahead. Sun Siyu. Time seemed to freeze at that moment. The next second, Zhou Zixuan, almost as if shocked by electricity, abruptly pulled away the arm that had been brushing against mine, and instinctively took 2 steps to the side, widening the distance between us. A clear flash of panic crossed her face. She looked at me, then at Sun Siyu, her lips moving, but failing to form words immediately. Why are you here? She finally turned to Sun Siyu, her voice a little strained. Sun Siyu's gaze first lingered on me for a moment, with a hint of scrutiny, before shifting to Zhou Zixuan, his smile unchanged. I asked around with some friends. Found out you live in this complex. After graduation, I always said I'd visit but never had the chance. Today I happened to be passing by, so I thought I'd drop in. Here's the surprise. The words were directed at Zhou Zixuan, but his gaze kept drifting toward me, subtle yet unmistakable. Zixuan, who is this? He asked politely, looking at me. But his eyes held a scrutiny only another man could detect. I was curious if he remembered me. Seen you at the hospital. Also seen you outside the restaurant. And now I was in Zhou Zixuan's neighborhood, walking alongside her. Instinct told him. My relationship with Zhou Zixuan was probably not simple. Zhou Zixuan hesitated, which was rare for her. She looked at me, then at Sun Siyu, as if quickly weighing how best to introduce me. Before she could arrive at an answer, I stepped forward and extended my hand to Sun Siyu as naturally as could be, a polite but distant smile on my face. Yang Xiaoyu, Dr. Zhou's former patient. I haven't been feeling well lately, and I'm going through a divorce, so I'm in a bit of a low place. I came to Dr. Zhou for a consultation, sort of like psychological counseling. My tone was flat, as if I were talking about something trivial. Sun Siyu shook my hand, but his eyes went back to Zhou Zixuan, as if seeking confirmation. Zhou Zixuan let out an obvious sigh of relief, and immediately picked up on my lead. Yes, this is Mr. Yang Siyu. This is my friend Sun Siyu. Her introduction was a bit vague, but she clearly accepted the doctor-patient role I'd set. I see. Sun Siyu nodded, his smile widening. Mr. Yang, you do look a bit pale. Take care of yourself. Sister Zixuan is an excellent doctor. You're in good hands. An awkward silence settled over the moment. Zhou Zixuan was probably feeling embarrassed. Quickly smoothed things over. That's Siyu. You came just in time. Come upstairs and sit for a while. Mr. Yang, you too. I originally wanted to refuse, but seeing the slightly pleading look in Zhou Zixuan's eyes, the bizarre situation before me suddenly made me change my mind. Sure, I'm tired from walking anyway. Let's go upstairs and have a glass of water. I'm curious to see what happens next. Back at home, Sun Siyu noticed the half-packed moving traces in the living room. A bit surprised. Sister Zixuan, are you moving today? No, Zhou Zixuan glanced at me, explaining Mr. Yang has some things to move out, just temporarily placed here. Oh, Sun Siyu nodded. Didn't ask further. Zhou Zixuan welcomed us to sit down, then turned and went to the kitchen to boil water and make tea, leaving only me and Sun Siyu in the living room. The atmosphere fell silent again. I wasn't really familiar with her, and had no common topics to discuss. Unexpectedly, Sun Siyu was quite proactive. He shifted his seat, moving closer to me, a look of curiosity and a strange familiarity on his face. He opened his mouth and asked, Brother Xiaoyu, I heard you mention getting a divorce earlier. If you don't mind me asking, why? Of course, if it's inconvenient to say, just pretend I didn't ask. I was slightly taken aback. Didn't expect him to ask such a personal question so directly. But looking into his clear eyes, I was silent for a few seconds, then let out a light laugh, my tone carrying a hint of self-mockery. It's not inconvenient, probably because my wife has always had someone else in her heart. Sun Siyu clearly didn't expect this answer. A flicker of embarrassment crossed his face. He muttered apologetically, Brother Xiaoyu, I shouldn't have asked that. It's fine. I shook my head. My tone was calm. It's all in the past. Sun Siyu observed my expression, seeming to think I wasn't too bothered. He opened up. He wore an expression that seemed to share a common pain. He sighed. Actually, to be honest with you, Brother Xiaoyu, I just got divorced a while back too. I was a bit surprised, though I knew he and his wife had separated. Hearing him say it himself felt different. How did you get through it? Sun Siyu suddenly wore a look mixed with gratitude and tenderness. His voice brightened a little. I was able to move on, thanks to Sister Zixuan. He sank into memory, his gaze growing distant. Right after the divorce, I was completely beaten down, feeling like the sky had fallen. Sister Zixuan, when she found out, she barged into my life without hesitation, talking with me, taking me out to clear my mind, pulling me out of that despair little by little. You know, Brother Xiaoyu, when I was bullied as a kid, it was always Sister Zixuan who rushed in to protect me first, even if she got hurt herself. When I was sick with a fever, She was so worried she couldn't sleep all night, sneaking over the wall to my house, holding me and coaxing me to take medicine. Maybe it's because of her that I think being a doctor is so great. Later, when I went to and from school, she would wait for me at the intersection whenever she had time, using her own allowance to buy me snacks, while often going hungry herself. I remember all these things. So this time when I got divorced, she also contacted me immediately, comforted me, stayed with me. Without her, I really don't know what I would be like now. I might have given up on myself long ago. Sun Siyu's tone was full of dependence and gratitude. Every word was like a fine little hammer, gently tapping on my heart that was already riddled with holes. The Zhou Zixuan he described was gentle and brave, selfless and full of strength. This completely overturned the Zhou Zixuan I knew. At this moment, an indescribable bitterness spread from the deepest part of my heart, instantly soaking through my entire body. I finally realized clearly, Zhou Zixuan wasn't born cold. She just gave all her gentleness and bravery to the person in front of her. Zhou Zixuan didn't have to keep her marriage hidden. She just wanted to forever keep for Sun Siyu a most important place in her heart. And now Sun Siyu is single again. There are no more obstacles between them. He can finally get what he wants. Understanding all this, I suddenly found it a bit funny. First, because I was finally completely free. Second, I thought how utterly ridiculous my past self was. Clearly someone who never had me in their heart. Me. Yet I fell for it like a fool. For so many years, giving my whole heart and soul, even nearly losing my own life. Was it worth it? Yang Xiaoyu, you really fucking deserve it. Looking at my calm, expressionless face, Sun Siyu probably thought I was moved by his story, that I resonated with it. He looked at me with even more recognition, as if we were kindred spirits. After hesitating repeatedly, Sun Siyu lowered his voice, and asked me a question he had buried in his heart all along. Brother Xiaoyu, I feel you can understand me, so I want to ask you, do you think Zixuan and I have a chance? Can we be together? This question pierced me like an icy arrow. With precise accuracy, shredding the last of my crumbling defenses, I looked at Sun Siyu's eyes, filled with anticipation and anxiety, my heart a mixture of emotions. The absurdity nearly reached its peak. I glanced at the slightly empty living room, which had once been filled with furniture and decorations I had carefully selected. Now only a blank space remained, waiting to be filled by others. I took a deep breath and answered him seriously. I don't actually know Dr. Zhou very well, but hearing what you said today, I think she is truly someone worth cherishing. If you've already made up your mind, if you both have feelings for each other. I paused, ignoring the sharp pain in my chest. Then I support you in doing what you want to do. Sun Siyu's eyes suddenly lit up. His gaze at me was full of gratitude and relief. Thank you, Brother Xiaoyu. Thank you so much for understanding. Just then, Zhou Zixuan came out with the tea. She poured and we drank, an awkward silence hanging in the air. It seemed everyone had something on their minds, so we could only make trivial small talk. Until the sky grew dark, Sun Siyu enthusiastically invited, Brother Xiaoyu, let's have dinner together. My treat as a thank you for your advice today. Before I could respond, Zhou Zixuan, who was changing shoes at the door, paused almost imperceptibly. She turned and looked at me, her expression complicated, as if she wanted to say something but held back. I immediately understood her reluctance. After all, why would she want her ex-husband to intrude on a meal with her beloved younger brother? I gave a faint smile, stood up, and said, I think I'll pass. I've been busy lately, a bit tired. I want to head back early and rest. You two go ahead. Have fun. Sun Siyu still wanted to keep Zhou Zixuan, but he took the lead and shoved the car keys into his hand, almost pushing him out the door. Siyu, go to the car first. Wait for me. I still have some medical matters to discuss with Mr. Yang. Her tone left no room for argument. The door was closed. In an instant, only Zhou Zixuan and I remained in the room. It was too quiet. So quiet that I could clearly hear my own slow, heavy heartbeat, and I could hear her slightly ragged breathing. Facing me, Zhou Zixuan's face once again showed that flustered, lost look. She opened her mouth, as if trying to organize her words to explain everything just now. To explain her relationship with Sun Siyu. You really don't have to worry. I spoke first. My voice was calm, without a ripple. We had an agreement before marriage. A secret marriage. Since I agreed, I will keep my word. I won't let your friends know about our relationship. I spoke as if stating a fact that had nothing to do with me. Zhou Zixuan was taken aback, as if she didn't expect me to say that. The tension on her face eased a little, replaced by a complex emotion mixed with gratitude, and perhaps a hint of guilt. Xiaoyu, thank you, she said softly. Her fingers unconsciously twisted the hem of her clothes. Give me a little more time. I'm actually slowly getting used to being married. When the time is right, I will definitely tell everyone that you are my husband. She reassured me again. Her tone sounded sincere, but my heart had long turned to ice. After she left, I couldn't hold on any longer. I rushed to the coffee table. I pulled out a few tissues and pressed them to my mouth. After a heart-wrenching fit of coughing, I opened my hand. The pure white tissue had a stark stain of blood in the center. Zhou Zixuan. Zhou Zixuan. The truth is, I never really cared whether you wanted to make our relationship public. 5 years of marriage have drained all my spirit and hope. Now that I don't have much time left, there's no so-called future you talk about anymore. In these last few days, I just want to truly live for myself for once. I had just finished cleaning up the traces of blood I coughed up. When my phone rang, it was a WeChat message from Professor Chun, my closest mentor from college. October 13th is the university's 80th anniversary alumni gathering. The old colleagues in the department all miss you. It's been so long. Would it be convenient for you to come back and visit? Looking at this message, a complicated warmth and bitterness surged in my heart. Back then, I pursued Zhou Zixuan relentlessly but failed, and fell into endless self-doubt and pain. Professor Chen guided me time and again, encouraged me, and pulled me out of that emotional quagmire. After graduation, caught up in life, I gradually lost touch with my teacher. So much so that now, when I'm about to leave this world, I almost forgot about this dear mentor. I didn't hesitate, and replied immediately, "Of course I'm free, Professor Chen. I'll definitely be there on time." I chatted briefly with my teacher about my recent situation before ending the conversation. A seriously ill body is like a machine that has run out of fuel. Just standing and talking for a while, handling a few small matters, left me utterly exhausted. I washed up early and lay down on the bed. But tonight, Zhou Zixuan actually came back, and she came back quite early, carrying a takeout container of late-night snacks. The sound of the door opening woke me up. I looked at the lunchbox in her hand. No need to guess. It was probably another batch of spicy food I couldn't enjoy. Zhou Zixuan seemed a bit surprised to see me already in bed. "Sorry, I didn't know you'd gone to bed so early. Did I wake you?" "It's fine." I shook my head. My voice was hoarse from just waking up as I got up, went to the bathroom, and came back. Zhou Zixuan was leaning against the headboard, playing on her phone. She suddenly looked up at me, as if she had made up her mind. She spoke. "Xiaoyu, haven't you always said you wanted to go on a beach trip? I'll take some leave next month. I'll go with you." A sudden invitation. Was this supposed to be compensation for me? But I didn't care anymore. There were only a few days left in the divorce cooling-off period. I didn't want any more complications. Even less did I want to be entangled with her. So I calmly shook my head. "No need. There's a lot going on at the company lately. Can't get away." Zhou Zixuan looked at me in surprise, her eyes full of confusion. After all, ever since she met me, I had always been the one to plan the trips, the one to invite her, and she mostly refused or brushed it off. Now that she finally took the initiative once, my response was so indifferent. She thought for a moment. She probably assumed I was still bothered by the Sun Siu matter. Her guilt deepened. For once, she didn't give up. She stayed by my side, and offered one compensation plan after another. Seeing a new movie, checking in at a trendy new restaurant, even going to a concert. I turned them all down. I didn't want her to notice anything unusual about my body or my resolve, my determination to leave. Finally, just before she spoke again, I took the initiative to make a request. Professor Chen from the School Alumni Association asked me to come back on October 13th. "Would you like to come with me?" My tone was very flat. It wasn't like an invitation, more like a notification. Upon hearing this, Zhou Zixuan visibly relaxed, as if she had finally found a chance to make up for her mistakes. She immediately agreed. "No problem. I'll switch shifts that day. We'll go together." It became an agreement between us. The guilt on Zhou Zixuan's face eased a lot. Not long after she lay down, her breathing became even and deep, and I, with my back to her, kept my eyes open in the darkness, staring at the blurry outline on the opposite wall. The electronic calendar on the wall gave off a faint glow. Time was counting down in silence. The alumni gathering on the 13th. The 14th would be the official end of our divorce cooling-off period. This alumni gathering would probably be the last time Zhou Zixuan and I ever saw each other. Perhaps because I was finally about to be completely free, I actually felt a bit lighter, and even, for the first time in a while, reminded her with a joking tone. "I've already made plans with Professor Chen. Don't stand me up again." Zhou Zixuan didn't turn around. Her voice, heavy with sleep, mumbled a reply. "Don't worry. I won't this time. Go to sleep. It's late." The room fell silent again. I smiled softly, said nothing more, and closed my eyes. Over the next few days, Zhou Zixuan didn't come back. She was probably busy with hospital work again, or maybe accompanying Sun Siu as he moved past his divorce. I also used the last of my time to pack up the rest of my personal belongings and ship them back to my parents' home. Until the day of the alumni gathering, I deliberately found a casual outfit I used to wear in college. It was a bit loose on me now, but the style was still passable. I combed my hair as neatly as I could, trying to look like the carefree version of myself from back then. Brought along the old camera I'd used for years, and prepared to bid a formal farewell to my hopeless love. About to go out, the sound of a key turning. Zhou Zixuan pushed the door open and entered. I was very surprised. This time she actually came as promised. We went downstairs together. He drove. Along the way, the car window was half open. The slightly cool early autumn wind brushed against my cheeks. I haven't felt this in a long time, not thinking about anything, just quietly feeling the breeze. Surprisingly, my mood was quite good. Zhou Zixuan seemed to be infected by this relaxed atmosphere too. Her eyes carried a rare smile. She even took the initiative to chat with me about some funny stories from university. The atmosphere was unusually harmonious, as if there had never been a third person between us. Soon the car stopped at the entrance of our alma mater. The familiar plane trees, the familiar red brick buildings, instantly pulled memories back many years. Zhou Zixuan unbuckled her seatbelt. Her tone was light. Let's go quickly. Let's first stroll around the campus. Recall our youth. Then in the evening have dinner with Teacher Chun and the others. I was just about to push open the car door, when the screen of Zhou Zixuan's phone on the center console suddenly lit up. Then the familiar ringtone pierced the harmonious atmosphere inside the car. She lowered her head and glanced at it. The caller ID showed Sun Siu. Her finger paused. A flicker of hesitation crossed her face, but only for a moment. She then answered the call. I was sitting in the passenger seat. The door hadn't been opened yet. The cabin was sealed and quiet. On the other end of the line, Sun Siu's tearful voice came faintly. Zixuan Jie. I fell at home. My ankle seems to be sprained. It's swollen really high. I can't move it. It hurts so much. Can you come see me? Zhou Zixuan's face immediately changed. She leaned forward. Her voice was undisguised, full of concern and anxiety. Is it serious? Don't move. I'll be right there. She hung up. She turned her head to look at me. Her face was full of apology and hesitation. I'm sorry. Siu, he spoke very fast. Siu twisted his ankle. It's pretty bad. He's home alone. I'm worried. I have to go. You can look around by yourself today. I'll try to be back before dinner. Okay. I watched her anxious expression. My heart was calm. I couldn't even muster the energy to feel disappointed. From the moment I heard Sun Siu's voice, I knew I had been abandoned by Zhou Zixuan once again. Okay, you go. I nodded, pushed the door and got out of the car. My movements were crisp and clean. Zhou Zixuan didn't even say another unnecessary apology. The car quickly turned around, merged into the traffic, disappeared from my sight. I walked alone slowly along the familiar tree-lined campus path. Before I knew it, I had walked through every place where I had once pursued Zhou Zixuan. The corner of the library where she often went, the lawn bench where she liked to sit, the sycamore avenue she had to pass after class, the back door of the gym where I first mustered the courage to stop her, asked for her contact info only to be harshly rejected. I took pictures of all these places, as a keepsake. Then I went to the faculty dorm to visit Professor Chin. We talked for a long time, very happily. The teacher was still so talkative, still cared so much about his students. But halfway through our talk, Professor Chun pushed up his glasses, looked closely at me, his brows slightly furrowed. Xiao Yu, you look so pale. Is work wearing you out? Health is the foundation of everything. Don't push yourself too hard. A warmth filled my heart, yet a twinge of bitterness crept in. Even a teacher I hadn't seen for years could tell at a glance I was in a terrible state. But you, Zhou Zixuan, my wife and a doctor, when will you ever spare me a real look? After dinner with my teacher, I took a cab home alone. On the way, my phone buzzed. I logged into that secondary account and refreshed my moments. Sure enough, Zhou Zixuan had posted no caption, just a short video. I tapped it. It showed the living room of Sun Siu's house. His ankle was indeed swollen, an ice pack wrapped around it. Zhou Zixuan's slender hand held a tube of ointment, gently applying it to him. The camera turned to face him. He made a shushing gesture at the lens, and the caption read, "Help, oh almighty circle of friends. Besides ice packs and ointment for a sprained ankle, what else can relieve the pain and speed up the swelling? Waiting online. Pretty urgent. Pity me." 2 heartbroken emojis followed the text. At that moment, I remembered the other day, when Zhou Zixuan offered to make it up to me, those cautious, tentative probes. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. What's the point? Zhou Zixuan, in your heart, I've never once beaten Sun Siu. Not once, not ever. I've always been the last resort. But if you knew our marriage was about to end for good, if you knew my life was nearing its end, would you feel even a flicker of regret? That question will never get an answer from Zhou Zixuan. And I no longer care about the answer. The cab passed by the law firm. I told the driver to wait. I deliberately went downstairs, pushed open the door to Lawyer Zhang's office. He was organizing files. He looked surprised to see me, quickly rose to his feet. Mr. Yang, what brings you here? How are you feeling? I'm fine. I sat down across from him, got straight to the point. Lawyer Zhang, today is the last day of the cooling-off period for Zhou Zixuan and my divorce. I just want to confirm whether everything will automatically take effect after midnight tonight, or if there's anything else I or she needs to do. Lawyer Zhang looked up. His eyes behind the lenses studied me carefully. He seemed startled by my now gaunt and haggard appearance. Paused for a few seconds before answering. Yes, Mr. Yang. According to the regulations, once the 30-day cooling-off period ends, if neither of you has withdrawn the divorce application from the Marriage Registration Authority, then starting tomorrow, your marital relationship will automatically be dissolved. He paused. His tone became serious and gentle. Congratulations on taking this new step. I hope everything goes well for you from now on. Everything goes well. For a terminal patient whose life is counting down, this is probably the simplest yet most extravagant blessing. I thanked him sincerely, left the law firm and got back into the car. Finally, between Zhou Zixuan and me, this long and exhausting story was about to come to an end. This chapter that had cost me the most effort in my life. Though its ending was messy, at least it was over. Until the next afternoon, Zhou Zixuan still hadn't returned, nor had there been any news. I didn't care. I exported all the photos I took at school yesterday, took them to the Photoshop downstairs to develop. After picking up the photos, I sat at my desk. Pick up the pen. On the back of each photograph, I wrote a few short sentences. Every photograph is a key that unlocks the floodgates of memory. Those details I thought had long since blurred were actually carved deep into my bones. As I looked and looked, I almost admired the person I was back then. Finally came the divorce. At the moment the cooling-off period ended, I suddenly suffered the worst bout of vomiting since I got sick. Leaning over the sink, I threw up until the world spun. Darkness flashed before my eyes, as if I wouldn't stop until I coughed up every last organ. My body was in agony, but my soul seemed to slowly detach, bringing a strange sense of relief. After I finished vomiting, I didn't even have the strength to clean the basin. All I could do was turn on the faucet, letting the cold water rush away. Those glaring traces of red. I held onto the wall and slowly shuffled back to the living room. I picked up the camera and switched it to video mode. I wanted to leave a final message for Zhou Zixuan. Facing the cold lens, I tried to speak several times, but each time I was interrupted by violent coughing. I coughed until my heart felt torn, coughing until my face was covered with involuntary tears. My expression must have looked terrible, but I persisted, finishing what I wanted to say in broken fragments. Zhou Zixuan, as you can see, I'm dying. I once counted on my fingers. Liking you has taken up nearly half my life. Unbelievable when I think about it. With just this fondness, I did so many foolish things. I gave it my all. I tried my best, really. But I'm sorry, I still couldn't make it into your heart. So I give up. In the little time I have left, I'm returning your freedom to you, letting you be with Sun Siyu. Don't look for me. I want to be alone for these last few days. In the end, Zhou Zixuan, happy divorce. I hope you get what you want. At the end of the video, I forced a smile that might have looked like one at the camera, then pressed the stop button. The time happened to hit midnight. I found the divorce agreement, placed it together with the developed photos, and put the camera on top of them, like completing a solemn ritual. I looked around this house I'd lived in for 5 years, and whispered, "Goodbye, Zhou Zixuan. Goodbye, Yang Xiaoyu." Then I pulled open the door and left without looking back. I booked a ticket back to the provincial capital. In the final days of my life, I wanted to see my parents again and stay with them for a few days, then set out alone to finish my unfinished journey. In the taxi to the airport, I took out my phone and blocked all of Zhou Zixuan's contact information. Then I called my parents. "Mom, Dad, it's me. I'm going on a long business trip soon. I might be hard to reach. Zixuan lost her phone, so we can't get in touch for now. If you need anything, call this new number. Oh, and she might not be using her old WeChat account anymore. You should delete it too." To avoid disturbing her, I wove a lie full of holes in a calm voice. My parents on the other end seemed a little puzzled, but in the end, they chose to trust their son. That's it then. Cut off all the leads that might let me be found. Let me leave quietly. On the other side, Zhou Zixuan stayed at Sun Siyu's place all night taking care of him. Until dawn, the swelling and pain in his ankle eased a bit, and he fell into a deep sleep. Only then did she drag her exhausted body away. She checked the time, it was almost noon. Only then did it suddenly hit her. She had stood me up yesterday again. On her way home, she called me, wanting to apologize, want to explain, want to ask about yesterday's alumni gathering. "The number you dialed is temporarily unavailable. Please try again later." Called over 20 times. all met with the same cold, robotic prompt. Zhou Zixuan's fingers tightened slightly on the steering wheel. A sudden unease rose in her heart. Married for 5 years. This was the first time she couldn't reach me at all. She switched to texting me on WeChat, only to find a glaring red exclamation mark in front of her message. Zhou Zixuan could hardly believe her eyes. She slammed on the brakes, pulled over to the side of the road, checked again and again. Yes, phone couldn't get through. WeChat had blocked her. Connecting this with my recent string of unusual actions. Suddenly disposing of couple items. Moving out early. My pale and haggard face. And that mention of the divorce cooling-off period at the repair shop. A terrifying thought slithered up her spine like a cold, venomous snake. Panic seized her, as if something important was spiraling completely out of control. The car practically flew back home. Pushing open the door, she froze. His things were still sitting in the living room, untouched. But every trace of me was gone. Clean, as if I had never lived here. Zhou Zixuan's heart pounded wildly, almost bursting through her chest. She rushed into the bedroom, opened the closet. My half was completely empty. Study, balcony, bathroom. Not a single sign of me anywhere. He really had moved out, taken everything. No, there was still the new house, clutching at her last lifeline. Zhou Zixuan rushed straight to that new apartment, unlocked the door with her key. It was empty inside. Not even the most basic furniture. Just cold walls and floors. Pale light seeped in through the window. There were no signs that anyone had ever lived there. The house transfer, the move, it was all lies. Zhou Zixuan's heart raced until she could barely breathe. Her mind went completely blank. An immense panic seized her. She didn't know how she managed to return to their old home. She could only rely on instinct. Room by room she searched, hoping against hope, that he might be hiding somewhere, or that he might have left behind some clue, until she stepped back into the master bedroom. Her eyes landed on the bedside table. There, lying quietly, was a stack of photographs, camera, and a document. At the sight of that familiar old camera, Zhou Zixuan's tense nerves miraculously relaxed for a moment. At least this camera was his most cherished possession. He said it was the start of his photography hobby, a gift from his mother. The camera was still here. He couldn't have gone far. Maybe he just went out for a walk, like a drowning person. She grabbed at the lifeline and hurried over. Without even glancing at the document, she picked up the stack of photos first. They were taken at the school yesterday. She flipped through them one by one. All the places I walked alone yesterday, looking at these familiar scenes. A complex surge of emotions welled up inside her. Guilt, and a faint trace of nostalgia. Soon she noticed the writing on the back of the photos. She froze. Line after line, sentence after sentence, all about how clumsily I used to like her. How she rejected me. How I secretly grieved. Zhou Zixuan had never imagined. Behind the scenes she never saw. How many foolish things I had done for her. How many tears I had shed. Watching those faded memories resurface in such a way. A certain hardened place in her heart suddenly softened. Her eyes involuntarily reddened. Thinking back to college, the me who always silently followed behind him. When I looked at him, my eyes would light up. A bitter smile even unconsciously tugged at the corner of his mouth. Silly girl, she murmured softly. She put down the photo, filled with a complicated mix of guilt and anticipation. She picked up the camera. She wanted to see if there were any photos of her inside, or anything else. She pressed the power button. The camera screen lit up. The last video. The file was labeled untitled. The recording time was late last night. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Her fingers trembled slightly as she tapped play. What appeared on the screen was my face, sickly to the extreme. The moment Zhou Zixuan saw my face clearly, her heart twitched with pain. As a doctor, she knew all too well what such a complexion meant. When did you get sick? The words burst out of her, her voice shaking uncontrollably. In the video, I seemed unable to sense her exclamation. Just started speaking haltingly at the camera. Zhou Zixuan, as you can see, I have a terminal illness. My life is already counting down. I've counted over and over on my fingers. You know what? Without me even realizing it, my liking for you has taken up most of my life. What kind of feeling is that? Looking back now, I still find it beautiful, just based on my feelings for you. How many times did I go all out, giving my everything, for you? I tried my best, but I still couldn't make my way into your heart. So in the end, I chose to let go. In the little time I have left, I give you back your freedom, and fulfill your deep love for Sun Siyu. Finally, I want to tell you, don't come looking for me. In these last few days, I want to live for myself. In the video, I kept coughing and spitting blood, curling up in pain, yet still insisting on saying happy divorce, Zhou Zixuan. 1 month ago, I signed the divorce agreement. You signed it too. Today is the last day of our divorce cooling off period. Now our marriage is dissolved. I hope you and Sun Siyu end up together. Maybe you don't care about me, But I still have to tell you. Don't come looking for me. I don't have many days left to live. In my final days, I don't want to see you. Every word, crystal clear, like 10,000 red-hot steel needles, piercing viciously into Zhou Zixuan's heart. The pain drained all her strength in an instant. Her breath stopped. Her mind went blank. He signed the divorce agreement. When did I ever sign it? Zhou Zixuan's eyes widened, her face as pale as paper. The sudden truth struck her nearly senseless. Impossible, how could she have signed the divorce agreement? She had no idea I wanted a divorce. In immense shock and panic, her hand trembled. The camera fell to the ground with a slap. The screen shattered instantly. The sound jolted the dazed Zhou Zixuan awake. Her gaze finally moved mechanically to the nightstand. That document she had always overlooked. The craft paper file looked somewhat familiar. Trembling, she reached out and took it, opened the first page. There in bold black letters were 4 words. Divorce agreement. And on the signature line of the last page, besides the 3 familiar characters of Yang Xiaoyu, there was also her own handwritten signature. When on earth did this happen? Zhou Zixuan was completely dumbfounded. Her voice shattered into fragments. My heart felt as if it had been ripped out in an instant, leaving only a gaping black hole where the wind howled through. The first day of the divorce cooling-off period. Wasn't that the day he invited Sun Siyu to the movies? That day he did run into me at the hospital. And I did hand him a contract, asking him to sign. I said it was for a property transfer. All the overlooked details came flooding back like a tidal wave. I made him sign at the hospital, but deliberately only flipped to the last page. Director Liu entrusted him to deliver a terminal diagnosis, medical records and a waiver of inheritance. Yet the one who came to pick them up in the end was me. And over these 30 days, I grew paler and weaker, but always brushed it off lightly saying, my complexion is fine. All the scattered fragments, in this moment, were brutally strung together by the 2 threads of terminal illness and divorce, piecing together a truth he could not bear. I should have noticed it long ago. I should have noticed it long ago. Zhou Zixuan's body went limp. She collapsed onto the cold floor. Tears burst forth like a dam breaking. Her heart felt as if it were being torn apart by an invisible hand. The pain was so intense she could barely breathe. He understood everything now. This past month, I had already known I was going to die. I carefully crafted a lie about a property transfer, tricking her into signing the divorce agreement, then used my remaining time to erase all traces of myself, quietly and completely vanish from her world. Yang Xiaoyu, what gave you the right not to tell me? What gave you the right to treat me like this? Zhou Zixuan broke down in sobs. All the emotions inside her exploded at once, nearly overwhelming her. But soon her remaining rationality and her instinct as a doctor forced her to pull herself together. She couldn't afford to fall apart. Yang Xiaoyu was sick. He was very sick. Where could he go all alone? She suddenly scrambled up from the floor, not even stopping to wipe away her tears, grabbed the car keys and rushed out of the house, drove all the way to the hospital at top speed. Director Liu. That day Yang Xiaoyu came to see a doctor. Director Liu must know about her condition, must know what's going on. Zhou Zixuan burst into Director Liu's office without a second thought. The door slammed against the wall with a loud bang. There were other doctors in the office discussing pathology. They were all startled by her bloodshot eyes. Director Liu looked up. Seeing it was her, frowned. Xiaozhou, what are you? Director Liu. Zhou Zixuan rushed to her desk, hands pressed against the edge of the desk, her body still trembling uncontrollably, voice hoarse and broken. Yang Xiaoyu's illness. Did you know about her terminal disease all along? Why didn't you tell me? Yang Xiaoyu. Director Liu was taken aback, then quickly realized. You mean that Mr. Yang? She was indeed my patient. I remember her very well. She always came for checkups alone. Her condition wasn't good. What's wrong? Do you know her? Zhou Zixuan completely broke down, screamed out. Why are you hiding it from me too? Why is he so seriously ill? None of you told me a word. I am his wife. The last sentence she shouted out as if her heart were bleeding. Wife. Director Liu was shocked, eyes wide. The pen in her hand dropped onto the desk with a clatter. She stood up abruptly, face full of disbelief. Xiaozhou, what did you say? Yang Xiaoyu is your husband. Aren't you not married yet? Your boyfriend. Isn't he that young man who came to our department dinner that day? At this moment, Zhou Zixuan finally felt as if struck by lightning, because after 5 years of marriage, at the hospital, she had always maintained the facade of being single in front of all colleagues and friends. She had never publicly revealed her married status. She herself had almost forgotten that I was her husband. Realizing the cruel and ironic reason, Zhou Zixuan felt as if all the bones had been drained from her body. Staggering back 2 steps, she grabbed the nearby chair to keep from falling. Anger was replaced by deeper despair and regret. He is my husband. We've been married for 5 years. She lowered her head. Tears fell heavily, hitting the ground. Her voice so low it was almost inaudible. I'm sorry, Director Liu. I was too agitated just now. Director Liu looked at her like this, combining what she just said, and some things he had vaguely heard before. He probably understood most of it in his heart. He sighed, waved his hand, gesture for the other doctors to leave first. When only the two of them were left in the office, Director Liu finally spoke with a complicated tone. Xiaozhou, don't rush. Calm down. Yang Xiaoyu's physical condition is indeed very serious. He is very resistant to active treatment, and his mood is also very depressed. Moreover, he mentioned to me that he is in the middle of a divorce with his wife. Director Liu paused, looking at Zhou Zixuan's pale face. Some words reached his lips but were swallowed back. In the end, he only said, "Is there some misunderstanding between you two? In his current condition, he can't be left alone." Misunderstanding, huh? Zhou Zixuan laughed bitterly and shook her head. Her tears flowed even more fiercely. There's no misunderstanding. It's me who lost him. I can't find him anymore. He blocked all my contact information. He left. Director Liu recalled that day during the department gathering. Sun Xiu, who was acting intimately with Zhou Zixuan. He also remembered how Yang Xiaoyu, every time he came to the hospital, had that ashen look in his eyes, as if nothing mattered anymore. In his mind, he roughly sketched the outline of a tragic story. He felt it was not appropriate to say more, so he could only offer comfort. Don't rush just yet. Think carefully. You are the person closest to him. There will always be a way to reach him. Her illness. Perhaps in this final period, he will want to be with family. Zhou Zixuan suddenly lifted her head, as if she had grasped something. Most terminal patients ultimately choose to return to their parents. But just as this thought arose, the next second, an even deeper pain and helplessness engulfed her, because she sadly realized, after 5 years of marriage, he didn't have the contact information of any of my friends. Not even the exact address of my hometown, my parents' names and phone numbers. He never cared about any of that, let alone remembered it. What a ridiculous wife she had been. What a failure. By herself, she simply could not find me. In desperation, Zhou Zixuan could only beg Director Liu again, like grasping at the last straw. Director Liu, please help me. You are his attending physician. You must have his contact information, right? Please tell me. I need to find him. I must find him. Seeing Zhou Zixuan's humble and pleading manner, Director Liu felt a pang of sympathy, but still shook his head firmly. Xiaozhou, it's not that I won't help you. This is patient confidentiality. The hospital has strict regulations. I cannot disclose a patient's contact information. This is against the regulations. It also violates professional ethics. Zhou Zixuan certainly understood the hospital's rules. But now she had no other choice. She dropped to her knees with a thud, directly kneeling before Director Liu. Director Liu, I'm begging you. I know the rules, but I really have no other way. He is so gravely ill. He's out there all alone. If something happens to him, please, I beg you to help me. Even if it's just passing a message to him. Tell him. I'm looking for him. Please. Director Liu was startled by her actions. He quickly helped her up, seeing Zhou Zixuan completely broken down, and thinking about my own precarious health. As a doctor, and as an elder, he ultimately softened. Get up first. Director Liu let out a heavy sigh. Rules are rigid. How about this? I can try to contact him for you. Pass your words to him. But whether he's willing to reply, or if he'll reach out to you, I can't guarantee. Zhou Zixuan felt as if she had heard heavenly music. She immediately stopped crying. Hope sparkled in her eyes. She nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Director Liu. Thank him. She quickly took out her phone, carefully composed a long message and sent it to Director Liu. It was filled with her apologies, her regrets, her explanations, an urgent please. Please tell him where I am. Please make him come back to me. Director Liu forwarded that message to me in front of him. Then came the long and agonizing wait. When Zhou Zixuan got home, she stared unblinkingly at her phone, refreshing it every few seconds, hoping for a message from Director Liu, or a reply from me. She waited until evening. Finally, her phone rang. It was Director Liu. Zhou Zixuan's heart pounded wildly. Her fingers trembling, she tapped open the message. There was no text, only a screenshot. The screenshot showed the chat between Director Liu and me. Director Liu had sent that long paragraph. My reply was only 2 brief lines. Too long, didn't read. Don't bother me, ex-wife. Just 8 simple words, like 6 ice blades, instantly shattering the hope that had just risen in Zhou Zixuan's heart. He felt as if he had been thrown into an ice cave, chilled from head to toe. Even his breath carried shards of ice. Zhou Zixuan collapsed onto the sofa. After a long while, he finally seemed to regain a bit of strength. He couldn't accept it. Trembling again, he used his fingers, To edit another message under the chat between Director Liu and me. Another long passage. But as he wrote, he deleted it all. He threw his phone aside in fury, curling himself up into the sofa, losing all direction and strength. But soon he bolted upright, rushed into the bedroom, found the camera with the cracked screen that I had left behind. Luckily, the memory card still worked. He transferred the video to the computer, then played it over and over, watching me cough up blood, in unbearable pain. His heart ached beyond measure. His fingers unconsciously touched the cold screen, as if wanting to reach through it to stroke my face, wipe away the blood for me. But all his fingertips felt was the hard, icy glass of the monitor. He pulled his hand back, silently watching over and over again. Finally, he heard the video. My words, "I'll grant your infatuation for Sun Siyu." Zhou Zixuan held her breath nervously, her heart racing with an indescribable panic. But when exactly did he find out? I always thought I hid it well, at least in front of Yang Xiaoyu. I tried my best to keep my distance. She recalled frantically. The image finally froze on that day, when I went downstairs for a walk with him, and we ran into Sun Siyu. That day he went to the kitchen to make tea, leaving me alone with Sun Siyu for a few minutes. Could it be that Sun Siyu said something to him that day? But that day was near the end of the divorce cooling-off period. Even if he knew something, he couldn't have prepared the divorce papers that far in advance. He anticipated everything. Zhou Zixuan forced her memory back further, to over a month ago. That day I went to the hospital for a checkup, ran into him and tricked him into signing that property contract. But I already had the divorce papers ready that day. This shows my determination to leave him was decided much earlier. When exactly? Zhou Zixuan recalled day by day the time she spent with me. Most of it was as dull as water. Nothing special. Except for one exception. That was about a month before I tricked him into signing. That day, because Sun Siyu had just gotten divorced, she was feeling low, and asked Sun Siyu out for a drink. Both of them got completely drunk. In the end, she barely managed to send Sun Siyu home, then stumbled back herself. That night, did I say something to him while drunk? Something I shouldn't have said. Did I reveal something? About my feelings for Sun Siyu. Thinking of this, Zhou Zixuan's heart skipped several beats. Her face instantly turned pale as paper. She didn't sleep a wink that night, replaying the events of these years like a movie, over and over in her mind. For the first 20-something years of her life, there was indeed only one Sun Siyu in her world. She truly, deeply liked him. So much that because he once said he wanted to be a doctor, she studied relentlessly, and got into medical school. But then Sun Siyu got married, and she was not the bride. It took her a long time to barely accept this fact. She forced herself to bury those feelings deep down. From then on, she only treated him like a younger brother, like a childhood friend. Then she met me. We've been married for 5 years. In her heart, the shadow of Sun Siyu had gradually faded, but I still hadn't truly entered either. Having known me for so many years, she always had a complicated feeling toward me, but only lacked that kind of heart-throbbing love. She thought marriage could survive without love, that responsibility and habit could sustain it. She chose me, partly indeed out of a kind of compensation, a psychological compensation for the version of herself who once loved and was not loved in return. She wanted to give me a happy ending, as if this could heal her own past regrets. But she was too naive. To get what you don't truly desire is sometimes more desperate and painful than to love and not be loved. And this marriage of hers, based on compensation, was doomed from the start to hurt two people. After marriage, facing my fervent love, facing the emptiness and guilt in her own heart that couldn't reciprocate equally, Zhou Zixuan felt unprecedented pressure and suffocation. She instinctively wanted to escape, so she proposed a secret marriage. As if not making it public meant the marriage wasn't truly real. She could still retain a trace of herself, a trace of a way out. I agreed. I agreed without hesitation. And so Zhou Zixuan, with an escapist and wishful mindset, naively and selfishly stepped into the fortress of marriage. In fact, during the 5 years of marriage, she never actively contacted Sun Siyu. All their interactions came from their mutual circle of friends, from various unavoidable gatherings large and small. Every time she felt complicated after seeing Sun Siyu, she would write something like a diary entry, but he never intended to show these to anyone. It was more like a form of self-guidance, a farewell ritual to the past, and also a reminder of the present, a reminder that there was someone worth cherishing by his side. Yet letting go was never an easy thing. More than 10 years of growing up together, some concern and care, had long become an instinct carved into the bone. Her gaze would unconsciously follow his figure. Her tone would unconsciously soften toward him, even knowing it was impossible. She genuinely wished for his happiness. So when Sun Siyu hit rock bottom, she couldn't help but care, and accompany him, hoping he would pull himself together soon. She attributed all of this to the duty of a friend and an older sister. These thoughts and entanglements buried deep in her heart. She had never revealed to anyone. She thought she had hidden it flawlessly. But she forgot there was me by her side. The one who regarded her as his whole world, watching her every moment, sensitive to every shift in her emotions. So her secret had long been seen through. Those actions she considered above board, in Yang Xiaoyu's eyes, became blades that hurt me, time and again pushing me into the abyss of despair, until this abrupt divorce arrived, until seeing that signed agreement and the terminal illness. Only then did Zhou Zixuan belatedly realize. She had long been exposed, but at this moment, what she couldn't accept was not just that I tricked her into signing, but also my absolute concealment from her, being so gravely ill, not telling her a single word until the end of life, and the huge lie I told, deceiving her into signing the divorce agreement under the guise of property transfer, and my cruelty, leaving without a word, resolutely, blocking everything, not even giving her a chance to beg me to stay. But what made her most furious and pained was herself. She hated herself for being a doctor, yet failing to detect her husband's illness earlier. Hated herself for being a wife, yet never truly caring about her husband's body and feelings. Hated herself for why, only waking up when she had completely lost him. Only then did I understand what I truly meant to her. The more than 1,800 days and nights of living together, I had long become like air, silently and imperceptibly seeping into every crevice of her life. She had long been used to my presence, used to my care, used to my tolerance, even used to my unreserved love. She relished all of this, yet foolishly thought it was just habit, not love. Only after I completely vanished and withdrew the air from her life did she feel the suffocating pain and belatedly realize that her heart had already made its choice for him. From the moment we got our marriage certificate, from the moment she decided to spend the rest of her life with me, I had already become an inseparable part of her life. It wasn't that she didn't love me, but this love came too late, was understood too late, and was buried too deep under her foolishness and selfishness. 2 days later, Zhou Zixuan exhausted every method she could think of, yet still couldn't reach me, or find any trace of my whereabouts. Thinking of my life flickering like a candle in the wind, her fear grew with each passing day, dreading that she would never see me again in this life, that even a final meeting would become a luxury. At last, Zhou Zixuan focused all her attention on me. Sun Xiu had contacted her over these days, many times asking about her condition. She ignored him, until Sun Xiu, worried, came to her door. Only then did he see Zhou Zixuan, haggard beyond recognition, her eyes swollen like peaches, dark circles heavy, as if she hadn't slept for days. Sister Zixuan, what on earth is wrong with you? What happened? Sun Xiu was frightened by her appearance. Now, at this moment, Zhou Zixuan looked at Sun Xiu, her heart filled with extreme complexity. She understood everything now. It was precisely because of her hesitation, her wavering. She deeply hurt 2 men. She could not delay any longer. She had to make everything clear. Xiu, Zhou Zixuan began. Her voice was hoarse and dry. I admit that I really liked you before. Liked you for many years. Sun Xiu was stunned. He hadn't expected her to suddenly bring this up. But Zhou Zixuan took a deep breath, looking directly into his eyes. Her tone was unprecedentedly clear and firm. That's all in the past. Now in my heart, I only see you as a younger brother, as a best friend. I haven't been in touch with you these past few days, because Yang Xiaoyu mentioned my name. His voice began to tremble again. His eyes instantly turned red. I lost her. I hurt her. She doesn't want me anymore. Sun Xiu seemed to realize something. His face became tense. Xiaoyu, what exactly is your relationship? Zhou Zixuan answered without hesitation, word by word. He is my husband. We have been secretly married for 5 years. What? Sun Xiu stepped back in shock. His face was written with disbelief. You are husband and wife? Then the ex-wife that Xiaoyu mentioned he was divorcing? That's actually you. At this moment, Sun Xiu completely understood everything. He was shocked into silence. Then boundless regret and guilt surged in his heart. So that strange intuition in his heart was not a delusion. And he, without knowing, had become the third party intruding into someone else's marriage. He should have noticed it long ago, Zhou Zixuan's attitude towards me. The way I looked at Zhou Zixuan. So many details. What made him even more unable to forgive himself was, he actually talked at length in front of me, about his past with Zhou Zixuan, and even asked me that damned question. Wasn't that on my bloody wound? Pouring another handful of salt? She was also recently divorced, too familiar with the pain of being betrayed. She couldn't believe it, that she had unknowingly become such a terrible accomplice. Maybe even the final straw that pushed me away. Why did you hide all of this? Sun Xiu's emotions were spiraling out of control, both angry and guilty. This is completely unfair to Brother Xiaoyu. Do you have any idea how cruel this is to him? I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. This is all my fault. Zhou Zixuan lowered her head, tears streaming down her face once more. He had already known he was wrong long ago. But I didn't even give him a chance to admit it. The person you should apologize to isn't me. It's brother Xiaoyu. Sun Siyu's face turned cold, his tone harsher than ever before. Zhou Zixuan, you know why I got divorced? My ex-wife also had someone else in her heart. I understand this feeling too well. This is a huge hurt to brother Xiaoyu. It's betrayal. Zhou Zixuan cried even harder, her body swaying unsteadily. I understand, I should have understood long ago. But now I can't reach him. She refuses to see me, won't give me a chance to apologize. That's not true. Sun Siyu cut her off, his gaze piercing. You've been married for 5 years. If you had even a little bit of care for him, you wouldn't be completely unable to find him. He took a deep breath, his tone heavy and blunt. Maybe it's not that brother Xiaoyu is becoming more and more resolute, but that the problem is you. Zhou Zixuan, you need to think carefully. Whether in these 5 years you ever truly saw him as your husband, whether you ever treated him sincerely, that's why you know nothing about him. Zhou Zixuan's eyes were filled with endless regret and pain. Silently, letting tears flow freely, watching Zhou Zixuan's crumbling, silent look, Sun Siyu's burning rage and accusations could only finally dissolve into a heavy sigh. Think it over again. You are husband and wife. It's impossible for you not to find him at all. Hurry up. Don't keep brother Xiaoyu waiting too long. At the end of his words, Sun Siyu turned around and left without hesitation, without a trace of reluctance. Zhou Zixuan crouched on the ground, holding his head. Tears soaked the carpet. 3 days later, this was the 5th day since I left. Zhou Zixuan felt he was going mad. During this time he searched everyone who might know my whereabouts. My colleagues, my neighbors, even tried to contact my parents. Found nothing. He even began to think desperately. Maybe Yang Xiaoyu is already gone. As soon as this thought emerged, he forcefully suppressed it. Then came an even more devastating fear. He dared not imagine. If when he found me, we were already separated by life and death, what would he do? He would never forgive himself in this lifetime. But when despair reached its peak, it instead forced out a glimmer of clarity. Zhou Zixuan went to consult a lawyer. The answer he got showed him a faint turning point. The lawyer told him, after the divorce cooling-off period ends, the marital relationship is indeed automatically dissolved. But to obtain the divorce certificate and fully complete the legal divorce procedures, both parties must go to the marriage registration office together. If one party does not go, the other party can file a lawsuit for divorce in court, but it takes time. In other words, as long as he does not go to get the divorce certificate, or I cannot find her to handle the certificate, then legally, she and I haven't completely severed ties. I might still need to come back to find him for documentation. With a plan in mind, Zhou Zixuan seemed to be injected with new strength. She immediately rushed to the hospital to find Director Lu. Director Lu, please help me one more time. Help me relay to Yang Xiaoyu that I agree to the divorce, but he must come back. We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau together to get the divorce certificate. Otherwise, I can't be with Sun Siyu. These days, Director Lu has been keeping in touch with me, mainly concerned about my condition. Meanwhile, she tactfully conveyed Zhou Zixuan's anxiety and regret. Now hearing Zhou Zixuan say this, Director Lu could hardly believe her ears. Xiao Zhou, have you really thought it through? Choosing Sun Siyu? Just like that, giving up on your husband who has been with you through thick and thin for 5 years? She is now. Director Lu didn't finish her sentence. But the meaning was clear. No, that's not it. Zhou Zixuan quickly shook her head, her tone urgent and humble. Director Lu, you misunderstand. I've tried many ways but can't reach Xiaoyu. Only this reason might trick him into coming back. I've already made it clear to Sun Siyu. We are just friends. The person I love has always been Xiaoyu. Please help me one more time. Let me see him once. Tell him clearly in person, okay? Director Lu looked at Zhou Zixuan's haggard but determined eyes. Thinking of her painful struggle these days, she finally believed in her sincerity. She sighed and agreed. On the other side, I had indeed packed some simple luggage from my hometown, preparing to set off on my planned farewell journey of life. These past few days, I've been accompanying my parents, trying my best to make them happy. They also vaguely sensed that I wasn't well. Under my vague explanations, they just thought I was too tired from work and needed rest. The elderly couple, though reluctant, still respected my decision. They just repeatedly urged me to take care of myself. I had just arrived at the train station when my phone rang. It was a message from Director Lu. Xiaoyu, Dr. Zhou asked me to tell you that he agreed to the divorce, but he insists that you need to come back in person for both parties to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau together to process the divorce. Only then can this marriage be legally terminated. She said that otherwise she couldn't start a new life with Sun Siyu. I was taken aback for a moment upon seeing the message, then understood. So it was to be with Sun Siu as soon as possible. That's why she was in such a hurry. Getting the divorce certificate is fine too. I'm leaving anyway. Go back once. Get the paperwork done thoroughly. Completely fulfill her wishes as well. Settle one of my concerns. I didn't feel heartache. Only a sense of relief as if everything had settled. However, I still don't want to see them again. Regarding the divorce certificate, I specifically called Lawyer Zhang to confirm. After receiving a positive response, I helplessly hung up. Oh well, might as well go back. Make a clean break. I cancelled my original ticket and changed to a train ticket back to Haicheng. It's worth mentioning that my life seems to be more resilient than the doctor initially predicted. It has already surpassed the 1 month that was said at the beginning. My condition is even slightly better than when I was in the hospital. Though still weak, at least I haven't been vomiting blood frequently anymore. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it's because after the divorce, the heavy burden in my heart was lifted, and my mood has become much lighter. 6 or 7 hours later, the train arrived in Haicheng. Li Feng came to pick me up. Upon meeting, she looked me over in surprise. You look a bit better than last time. What's going on? Could it be a misdiagnosis? I smiled, pulled open the car door and sat inside. How could it be a terminal illness? Who gets misdiagnosed these days? Maybe I've just been more relaxed lately. The face reflects the heart. Then why are you still coming back to see him? Li Feng started the car. He asked, confused. While you're still feeling good, you should go enjoy life, travel the world, just handle some paperwork, leave once it's done. I fastened my seatbelt. My tone was indifferent. But why did he suddenly agree to the divorce so readily this time? I heard he was acting crazy a while back, looking everywhere for you. Li Feng gossiped as he drove. Because I stared at the rapidly receding street view outside the window. My voice calm and flat. She's going to marry Sun Siu. She needs the divorce certificate and such. Li Feng yanked the steering wheel sharply, almost scraping against the car next to us. His face reddened with anger. That woman still has that kid on her mind even now. Xiaoyang, if you ask me, you don't need to go back. Forget about it. He doesn't deserve you making this trip. But I no longer care. I smiled. Coming back is fine. At the very end, I don't want to owe him anything. I don't want any more ties either. Part ways cleanly. My mind will be at peace too. Not long after getting in the car, I received a message from Director Liu, asking if I'd return to Haicheng. He suggested I go back to the hospital for a checkup, but I didn't agree. He knows now. No need to think about my relationship with Zhou Zixuan. Zhou Zixuan must be waiting for me at the hospital. Please pass this on to Zhou Zixuan for me. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, I'll see her at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance. Get it over with quickly. I don't have much time. When the message was sent, Zhou Zixuan stayed by Director Liu's side without leaving. At that moment, his full anticipation and joy instantly vanished. Disappointment nearly suffocated him. But Director Liu had already helped him a lot. Zhou Zixuan didn't lose heart. She replied immediately, agreeing to meet tomorrow. Then she rushed home. She hadn't been idle during this time. She carefully reviewed every detail of their 5-year marriage. Relying on her memory and the photos I had sent her, she searched online for the same items. She bought back all the couple items and furniture decorations I had sold or moved, one by one. She tried to restore the old home to how it was when I was there. She also prepared some surprises for me at home. Handwritten apology letters. Clumsy attempts at cooking. She even took a long leave from the hospital, planning to stay by my side without leaving. During my final days, to take care of me. The next day, I waited on time at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhou Zixuan arrived late, but her hands were empty. She brought nothing. At that moment, I knew she wasn't here for a divorce. You called me here to get a divorce certificate, and you bring nothing. My tone was full of impatience. Cold. Just like how she used to treat me. You know I don't have much time to waste. Zhou Zixuan's heart was pierced by my cold words. It hurt so much she shuddered. She never expected that upon meeting, I would open with divorce, with wasting time. Looking at my current state, though still thin and pale, clearly a patient at first glance, compared to the gray and pallid look she saw in my video, it was already much better. Zhou Zixuan's feelings were incredibly complicated. Could divorce, for me, a terminally ill patient, actually be a relief and a cure? Xiaoyu, have you been okay these past few days? He looked at me and asked cautiously. As you can see, I forced a faint smile. A smile, with no warmth in it. I feel much better since the divorce. My words hit Zhou Zixuan's chest like a heavy rock. All the words he had prepared for days got stuck in his throat. He couldn't say a single word. He wanted so badly to rush over and hold me, to tell me he was wrong, that he loves me, to beg me not to leave. But there we were, standing right in front of each other. The distance between our hearts felt like an unbridgeable chasm. I forgot to bring my household registration and ID card. Zhou Zixuan lowered his head. His voice was very soft. with a barely perceptible tremor. Can you come back with me to get them? Zhou Zixuan. We're not kids anymore. I frowned. My tone carried a hint of sarcasm. That excuse is too lame. What trick are you trying to pull? Just say it directly. I don't have time to play games with you. Seeing me so cold and distant, Zhou Zixuan's heart ached terribly. He seemed to have run out of moves. So he had to abandon all those carefully prepared surprises, and spoke in the clumsiest yet most sincere way, cautiously. No, it's not an excuse. I really couldn't find them. All these years, you've been the one organizing all the household documents. I don't know where you put them. Can you go back and help me find them? That wasn't entirely a lie. For years, I had indeed handled all the household chores. He didn't even know how to pay the utility bills. Seeing his reddened eyes and pleading look, I eventually softened. Just a little. Forget it. Consider it the last time I help him. Let's go. I turned and walked to the roadside to hail a cab. Zhou Zixuan quickly followed. I drove. Take my car. I glanced at her. Didn't object. The atmosphere in the car was suffocatingly tense. Zhou Zixuan couldn't bear the deathly silence. She took a deep breath and broke the stillness herself. Xiaoyu, have you been going to the hospital for checkups on time lately? Are you taking your medication? Her voice was laced with undisguised worry. None of your business. Ex-wife. I didn't look at her. My gaze stayed fixed on the street scene flashing past the window. Her disappointment and pain were almost overflowing. Xiaoyu. She tightened her fingers on the steering wheel. Her voice trembled slightly. I've consulted a lawyer. After the divorce cooling-off period ends, the marriage is automatically dissolved. But to get the divorce certificate and fully complete the legal procedures, both parties need to be present. If I don't go, or if you can't find me, this divorce won't be finalized. She paused, checking my reaction through the rearview mirror, then continued. I could choose not to go. I raised an eyebrow in surprise, turned my head to look at her. Zhou Zixuan, if we keep tangled up like this, it means nothing. You have your son see you waiting for you. And I want to live for myself at the end of my life. We're no longer on the same path. My tone was calm, even carrying a hint of weary resignation. I signed over the marital property, voluntarily waived it. I gave you everything I have in life. What more are you unsatisfied with? Why hold on to me? It's none of those reasons. Zhou Zixuan shook her head fiercely. Her eyes reddened again. He deliberately slowed down the car, his eyes occasionally falling on me, his gaze filled with struggle and pain. I'm not trying to cling to you. I just can't accept it. Her voice choked with sobs. I can't accept it. You won't give me a chance to explain. I can't accept it. You won't give me a chance to show you my feelings. I can't accept it. You leave without even saying goodbye, not giving me any chance to hold you back. 3. I can't accept it. Sounds like an accusation, and like a humble plea for a chance. But I'm no longer moved by such words. Save those words for Sun Siu. One sentence pushed Zhou Zixuan into a dead end again. She was momentarily speechless, not understanding why I had become so heartless, when once Yang Xiaoyu valued her more than his own life. Xiaoyu, don't you understand what I mean yet? Her voice trembling with urgency. I don't want a divorce. I want to hold on to you. I want us to start over. Can we get back together? What a fine start over. With one casual sentence. He wanted to erase the 5 years of my humble sacrifices. Erase the pain and despair that nearly cost me my life. But I still couldn't understand. Sun Siu is single again, and she and I are about to part ways completely. Isn't this exactly the opportunity he always dreamed of? Why would he suddenly turn around and say he wants to get back with me? My silence filled Zhou Zixuan with inexplicable panic. Don't stay silent. Are you still thinking about Sun Siu? Zhou Zixuan's eyes reddened. Her tone flustered. Xiaoyu, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have, because of someone from the past, hurt you over and over again. I hope you can forgive me. Give me a chance to make it up to you. Please. Why the sudden apology? This isn't the Zhou Zixuan I know. When has she ever been so humble? Those 3 words. I waited 5 years and never heard them. Now that we're divorced, what's the point? I gave a faint smile. The smile was full of exhaustion and distance. I will forgive you. After our divorce is officially finalized. One sentence. Zhou Zixuan opened her mouth. Again she was left speechless. It was as if all strength had been drained from her in an instant. She looked forlorn, like a lost child. Xiaoyu, do we really have to divorce? Her voice was soft, carrying a humble plea. I really don't want to leave you. There's no need for this. I sighed. My tone softened a little, but it remained firm. 5 years together. I just hope we can give each other a decent intermission. I'll give you and Sun Siu your endless blue skies, and you give me this last bit of peace and freedom. Right now I have only one thought. Get the paperwork done as soon as possible. Make a clean break. Then leave. I don't have much time left. There are still so many things I want to experience alone. I don't have time to listen to Zhou Zixuan's hollow confessions here. I don't want to. Zhou Zixuan suddenly raised her voice. Her voice choked with tears. Xiaoyu, I lied to you. I'm not actually going to marry Sun Siyu. I've already explained everything to him. I did like him before. But since he got married, I've only seen him as a younger brother. You're the one I love. You've already entered my heart. Can you please not leave me again? Zhou Zixuan finally found the chance to pour out all her true feelings. But I wasn't buying it. The story between Zhou Zixuan and me is long and painful, like a damp, cold nightmare. Now that I've finally managed to break free from it, I'm covered in wounds. With just a few words, he wants me to go back. That's impossible. Zhou Zixuan. I turned my head and looked him straight in the eyes. My tone was calm yet cruel. You have no credibility with me anymore. A single simple sentence. But for Zhou Zixuan it was the heaviest blow. I used to believe every word he said without reservation. Every look in his eyes. Every promise he made. Now he himself has overturned all that trust. He personally ground away every last bit of hope and love I had for him. Zhou Zixuan's heart ached as if twisted. But he had already anticipated the outcome of my rejection. He refused to give up. He took a deep breath, then spoke again. His tone was like burning one's bridges, desperate and resolute. Xiaoyu, I know I've broken your heart, but can you give me just one chance? Let me slowly mend it. I will prove with my actions that I love you. I truly love you. After the divorce is done. I looked away, my tone impatient. You can prove it however you want to whomever you want. I won't stop you. Hurry up, I'm tired. Seeing me so stubborn and unreachable. Zhou Zixuan's heart turned cold, but he dared not say more, afraid he would really anger me, and lose even this last chance to ride in the same car. No more words were exchanged the rest of the way. The car finally stopped in my apartment building's underground garage. I didn't give him another chance to speak. I pushed open the door and got out directly. Zhou Zixuan sat frozen in the driver's seat. His heart felt heavy and choked. In the end, he could only let out a deep, heavy sigh. Got out and followed behind me. We stepped out of the elevator. Arrived at the apartment door. Zhou Zixuan suddenly felt a bit nervous. His fingers trembled slightly as he unlocked the door. Xiaoyu stepped aside. His voice carried a faint, barely noticeable hint of anticipation and unease. Welcome home. The scene inside the door left me stunned. All my things had clearly been moved out. But at this moment, the living room had almost been restored to how it looked before I left. The throw pillow I often leaned on was on the sofa. The mug I used was on the coffee table. And on the center of the dining table sat a somewhat lopsided cream cake. Beside it were a few plates of home-cooked dishes that didn't look particularly appetizing. I prepared all of these for you. Zhou Zixuan looked at me. Her eyes were full of expectation and caution. Xiaoyu, please don't leave me, okay? I stood at the door. I didn't step in immediately. My gaze swept over these deliberate restorations and clumsy surprises. There was no touch of emotion in my heart, only a deep sense of exhaustion and absurdity. Put it all away. I spoke, my voice flat. We're here to get the documents. This kind of scene isn't appropriate. I walked in and changed into slippers. My tone was calm as I asked, where did you get these things? I was certain all my belongings were at my parents' place in my hometown. What appeared here could only be replicas. Xiaoyu, Zhou Zixuan, hadn't expected me to react this way. From the very first words we exchanged, I hadn't said a single sentence without mentioning divorce. She finally realized clearly that 5 years of neglect and hurt had completely erased the young Xiaoyu who once had eyes only for her. What remained was just a shell. He had also closed all the doors to his heart. He was silent for a moment before answering in a low voice. I searched for each item online, comparing them to photos you took before, and the purchase records. I found them one by one. It wasn't much trouble. I took an extended leave. I have time. Her voice grew quieter and quieter, heavy with a nasally tone. Because only this way could I create an illusion for myself. The illusion that you haven't left yet. Only then can I have a little hope. Maybe one day you'll be like before. Push open the door and come home. Xiaoyu, I don't know how to get through the days without you. This time I'm truly a bit moved. Not because I'm touched, but because it's pitiful. For the past. And also for her now. If it were 5 years ago, or even a year ago, seeing Zhou Zixuan do all this for me, I would probably have been overjoyed, thinking that all my efforts were worth it, thinking that finally the clouds parted and I saw the moon. But now, I've barely managed to free myself from this hopeless unrequited love. I no longer want to waste even a single minute or second of emotion and energy on her. I softly responded, my tone still calm. If you want to keep them, then keep them. You can slowly throw them away later. After the divorce, you'll gradually get used to it. I walked straight toward the bedroom to get the household register and ID card needed for the divorce. I knew where they were, in a small locked drawer. Zhou Zixuan stood frozen at the door, watching me, the figure of me walking toward the bedroom without hesitation. Her heart ached until she couldn't breathe. She slowly began to realize, maybe this was just how my personality always was. Not like what she had seen all these years. Always accommodating, endlessly tolerant, forever gentle. So those 5 years, all my patience, all my good temper, all my tenderness and thoughtfulness, were all because I loved her. Because I loved her, I was willing to wrong myself, swallow all the bad emotions, hide all my sharp edges, only leave the warmest side for her. But what about her? She was too immature, too selfish, too much taking everything for granted, until so late, until completely losing her. Only then did I realize that the Yang Xiaoyu who was always patient with her, the Yang Xiaoyu who was always gentle with her will never come back. Zhou Zixuan crouched by the door, tears streaming down her face. She desperately covered her mouth, trying not to let herself sob out loud, because this was all her own doing. Because Zhou Zixuan had restored the room to its original state. Those documents weren't hard to find. I quickly took them out from the drawer. Just as I walked out of the bedroom, I saw Zhou Zixuan slumped by the door, her shoulders trembling slightly. Her eyes and the tip of her nose were both red. Clearly she had just been crying. I frowned. What kind of trick is this now? Begging and apologizing have been tried. Now she starts playing pitiful, seeking sympathy. I walked over, my tone tinged with faint skepticism. Are you feeling unwell? If she dared to fake illness to stall, I would immediately turn and leave. No. Zhou Zixuan quickly wiped her face with the back of her hand, forcing herself to stand up, squeezing out a smile that was uglier than crying. Let's go. Downstairs and into the car. This time, not a word was spoken along the way. Zhou Zixuan didn't say anything else. She just drove in silence, her eyes fixed straight ahead. The car finally stopped again at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Hurry up. I glanced. It's almost closing time. It was indeed getting late. I was worried that if we delayed until they closed, we'd have to wait another day. So I directly grabbed Zhou Zixuan's hand and walked quickly into the Civil Affairs Bureau. The warmth from my palm caused Zhou Zixuan to be dazed for a moment. Once upon a time, when she and I came to get our marriage certificate, we were also in such a hurry. At that time, I was probably afraid she would back out. Afraid she would retreat at the last moment. So I held her hand tightly all the way. Quick steps, with barely suppressed excitement and joy on her face. That look, unconsciously, it seemed to dispel some of her confusion and fear about marriage. Zhou Zixuan belatedly realized that from that moment on, I had already begun to slowly enter her heart. But now the same scene, the same person, even the same act of holding her hand and walking quickly, everything had changed. Zhou Zixuan's eyes dimmed. Like a puppet, I pulled her along to take photos mechanically, fill out forms, sign, and press her fingerprint. When that booklet printed with the words, divorce certificate, was finally handed to each of us, I let out an obvious sigh of relief. My tense shoulders slumped. Even on my usually pallid face, there was a trace of relieved ease. Finally, I muttered to myself, holding that divorce certificate, turning it over and over, the corner of my mouth. Even unconsciously, a faint curve lifted at the corners of my mouth. Truly is freedom, Xiaoyu. Zhou Zixuan stared at the glaring red document in my hand, then looked at the undisguised expression on my face. Her heart felt as if a piece had been gouged out. The pain made her barely able to stand. But amidst all this heartbreak and despair, a thought grew wildly in her heart like weeds. Since he resisted so much staying in the past marriage with him, well, the marriage can end. But if the marriage ends, it doesn't mean the story between us has to end. We can have new identities, a new beginning. She suddenly made up her mind, as if she had figured something out. Her eyes refocused, looking at me. Xiaoyu. She called out to me as I was about to turn and leave. Perhaps because of the final break, I was in a good mood. After the divorce, this is the first time I've used a relatively calm tone to respond to her. Zhou Zixuan took a deep breath, looked into my eyes, and said word by word, clearly and firmly, let's start over. What? I wondered if I heard wrong, staring at her in shock. Zhou Zixuan, are you out of your mind? After all the trouble I went through, just to finally divorce you, and completely get out of this relationship, you turn around and tell me, let's start over. Zhou Zixuan saw the disbelief in my eyes, but her resolve only grew stronger, and her thoughts clearer. What I mean is, she took a step forward, with a serious tone. Even though our marriage is over, we're still old classmates, aren't we? Divorced. Even if we can't be husband and wife, we can still be friends, right? Friends. I frowned instinctively, and refused to forget it, looking at Zhou Zixuan's unusually bright eyes. I felt she had ulterior motives. Knowing her as I did, this wasn't her truly letting go. Who on earth gets divorced because of cheating, and still manages to be friends without any hard feelings? But I never expected that this time Zhou Zixuan would have a solid argument against me. Xiaoyang, that's not fair of you. She lifted her chin slightly, her tone carrying a hint of deliberate grievance. You wanted a divorce. I may have dragged my feet, but in the end I still went through with the paperwork. You can't just pull up your pants and pretend we never happened. Have you forgotten what you said to me just now in the car? What nonsense did I say? I was a bit annoyed by his vulgar metaphor. You said. Zhou Zixuan stared into my eyes and repeated word for word. As long as I agree to divorce you, then I can prove love however I want and to whomever I want. You said that if we get divorced, you would forgive me. Did you say these words or not? Looking at Zhou Zixuan's expression as if she had solid evidence, the corners of my mouth couldn't help twitching twice. I did say those words, but at that time I was just trying to get rid of his pestering as quickly as possible, and said it casually to make the divorce go smoothly. I never imagined he would still hold onto those words after the divorce. I did say them, with a bit of a headache. I rubbed my temples. I can forgive you, but I really have to go now. If you want to prove something, let's talk about it another time. The next moment, Zhou Zixuan immediately grabbed my wrist, her eyes stubborn. Don't you try to run. How do I know when I'll see you again next time? What if you disappear again? If you're going to prove it, then do it now, she said firmly. I tried to break free from her grip, said helplessly. Why would anyone prove themselves to an ex-husband? Why not go prove it to your son Siyu? I'll say this one last time. Zhou Zixuan's expression turned serious, and she gripped my hand even tighter. I only see him as a younger brother. I just want to prove myself to the person I care about. Whether I call you my ex-husband, or an old classmate, you can't deny that there's still something between us. Then I like you. I want to prove my feelings to you. Is that not allowed? Xiaoyu, you promised me this yourself. You're not going back on your word, are you? Zhou Zixuan stared intently into my eyes, as if testing my limits, and as if betting on my reaction. I won't go back on my word. I was rendered speechless by her words. Can only manage a vague reply. It's your freedom to prove it to whom you choose. But whether I accept it is another matter. I really have to go now. Perhaps because we were already divorced. No longer bound by law. I genuinely didn't feel as much resistance toward Zhou Zixuan as I did in the car earlier. My tone softened a bit too. Zhou Zixuan keenly noticed this subtle change in my attitude. A flicker of light passed through her eyes. Her tone relaxed as well. She began to coax me gently. Fine. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. She let go of my hand, but still stood in front of me, blocking my way. But I want a way to contact you. A new one, that shouldn't be too much to ask. Otherwise, if you disappear again like last time, where would I find you when I want to prove something? As long as you give me a reliable way to reach you, I might consider letting you go. Zhou Zixuan's expression didn't look like she was joking. Knowing her personality as I do, if I didn't give her my contact information today, she would probably keep pestering me, not letting me leave, and I was truly exhausted. Just wanted to get away as quickly as possible. Helpless, I had to compromise. I can give it to you. I took out my phone. My tone carried a warning. But you have to promise not to harass me anymore. If you disturb me, or say strange things again, I'll block and delete you immediately. We can only interact as old classmates. Understand? Of course, no problem. Zhou Zixuan agreed unusually quickly. She immediately took out her phone, staring at me expectantly. Her ready agreement actually made me a bit uneasy, suspecting she might have some other trick up her sleeve. But the words were already spoken. I had no choice but to exchange new WeChat contacts with her. After we added each other's contact info, I turned around immediately, not wanting to stay even a second longer. But Zhou Zixuan followed behind me, chattering endlessly as she walked, laying down the rules. Xiaoyu, I promise not to disturb you. But you also have to promise not to disappear without a word, or delete me again, or block me. I won't ignore you. When I talk to you, you have to reply. You can't shut me out. You can't brush me off. Anything else? Is this really what you ask of an old classmate, or what you'd ask of a lover? Back when I chased her, I didn't dare make so many demands. Now she's turning around and making demands of me. My head was spinning from listening. I quickly raised my hand and hailed a taxi, pulled open the door and ducked inside, blurted out Li Feng's home address to the driver. Driver, hurry up. The car started moving. Just before I left, from the rearview mirror I saw Zhou Zixuan still standing there waving at me. Her face didn't show much joy, but her eyes were unusually bright, full of confidence. We'd been married for 5 years. I knew her too well. She didn't really want to be just an old classmate. This was clearly her changing her identity, trying to start pursuing me all over again. If this had been in the past, I might have been moved beyond words, thinking the hard times were finally over. But now my heart was already dead. It would never beat for her again. As for her pursuit, whatever. After all, I'm about to die, and soon I'll leave the city for good. Go far away. The divorce was already done. I gave up all the assets. It won't affect her future life. This ending is already good enough for me. I leaned back in the taxi's back seat. Wearily, I closed my eyes. I went to Li Feng's place to meet him. I had planned to celebrate properly, being single again. But he absolutely refused to let me give up. He insisted on dragging me to the hospital for a checkup. Really, it's not necessary. Bro, my own body. I know it's no good. Li Feng was adamant. You're divorced. Such a happy occasion. What if a re-examination turns out fine? You must go for the checkup. I'll go with you. I couldn't argue with him, and afraid he'd get suspicious. I had no choice but to let him half-drag me to the hospital. To prevent me from slipping away halfway, Li Feng even took leave from work, vowing to keep an eye on me the whole time, until all the tests were done. Actually, you really don't need to watch me. I sat on the bench in the hospital corridor, watching the patients coming and going. I'm already at the hospital. How could I run away? Li Feng had an expression that said, I believe you? No way. But soon his company called. A serious failure had occurred in their department's information system. Only he could fix it at the company. His boss urgently summoned him back immediately. Li Feng held the phone, looking conflicted, glancing at me then at the phone, torn between the two. I seized the chance to persuade him. Look, work is important. You should go back quickly. I really won't run away. I'll just wait here until the checkup is done. I'll call you. Li Feng hesitated over and over. Finally, under my repeated assurances and his boss's relentless calls, he finally wavered. He watched me walk into Director Lu's office and closed the door. Only then did he leave, looking back every few steps. The door closed. In the consultation room, only Chief Lu and I were there. I walked over and sat down in front of him. Actually, I wasn't lying to Li Feng. Even if he hadn't pushed me, I had planned to come see Chief Lu before I left. If Chief Lu hadn't checked in on me from time to time this past month, adjusting my medication, I might not have even made it through the divorce cooling-off period. Chief Lu, you're here. Chief Lu looked somewhat surprised to see me. He gave me a careful once-over. You look a bit better than last time. Not carrying as much on your mind. More relaxed. I smiled. I'm catching the train tonight and leaving. I mainly came to see you this time, to thank you for your care over this period. There's not much point in a follow-up exam now. Compared to the torment and pain of a month ago, I'm now completely at ease. But Chief Lu looked at me, his eyes full of regret. I heard about what happened between you and Zixuan. He let out a sigh. If divorce is something that can bring you relief and happiness, then it might actually be good for your health. But Zixuan is one of my most outstanding students in recent years. I've seen the changes and the pain she's been going through. Of course, I have no right to advise you. But is this really how it ends for the two of you? Finished once and for all, with no possibility left? Chief Lu flipped through my previous medical records as he spoke, as if making casual conversation. He rarely meddled in his students' personal affairs, but he found it too regrettable, the situation between Zhou Zixuan and me. If he had known earlier, perhaps Zhou Zixuan wouldn't have been there. Regarding that topic, I didn't resist much. My tone was very calm. Who knows? Before tomorrow comes, anything is possible. But one thing won't change. She and I are already divorced. As for whether we never see each other again, or become friends, it no longer matters. I don't actually have much time left to dwell on these things. My answer made Director Lu see my attitude. It was not as resolute as Zhou Zixuan described. Maybe things haven't reached a dead end yet, but as a doctor, his primary duty is still to remind me. Xiao Yu, don't keep thinking about how much time you have left with your illness. No one can say for sure, including me. You just need to live well. Keep your mood cheerful. That will benefit your condition. If there are any people or things that upset you, stay away from them for now. Your current condition is more stable than a month ago. That's a good thing. I sincerely thanked Director Lu. We exchanged a few pleasantries. Then I stood up to take my leave. Director Lu personally got up to see me out. There was pity in his eyes. But more than that, there was his blessing for me. Take care. Be careful on the road. Stay in touch. He patted me on the shoulder. Arriving at the clinic door, he pulled it open. I looked up and saw Zhou Zixuan. At some point, she had been standing quietly at the door. Her gaze went past Director Lu's shoulder and landed directly on me. When did you get here? Director Lu was startled, holding his chest. Yo, my old heart. Seeing Zhou Zixuan's figure, I was also shocked inside. How did the news leak out? Wasn't she on a day off today? Why would she show up here? Seems this place is not good to stay. Director Lu, no need to see me out. Take good care of yourself. I said goodbye to Director Lu and prepared to leave. Reaching the door, I brushed past Zhou Zixuan. We looked at each other in silence. This time he didn't stop me. He just silently stepped half a step to the side. I quickly walked away, heading toward the elevator. But when I reached the hospital entrance, I turned around to look back. Only then did I realize Zhou Zixuan had been following me, keeping a distance not far behind. Quietly following you. Why are you following me? I eventually had no choice but to stop. turned around and looked at her. Zhou Zixuan quickened her pace and came up to me. Her face showed no particular expression. Her tone was also very calm. Nothing much. Just wanted to experience how you felt back then. What feeling? She tilted her head slightly, as if reminiscing. When your heart and eyes are full of just one person, you really can't help but follow behind them. Even just looking at their back feels wonderful. Her words left me speechless for a moment. I didn't know how to respond. Back in college, Zhou Zixuan continued walking forward, walking side by side with me, her voice soft. I remember every time after evening self-study class, you would just happen to show up near our classroom, and then follow me all the way, until I reached the girls' dormitory building. At first, I thought you were some creepy stalker. I almost went to the security office to report you. The corners of her mouth curled slightly, revealing a hint of nostalgia. Only later did I find out. You just wanted to get a few more looks at me, wanted to walk me home along the way. Zhou Zixuan and I share too many memories. Now she brings them up one by one. Her tone no longer cold like before. Instead, it carries a belated tenderness and nostalgia. Those fragments of the past, like old movie film reels, frame by frame appear before my eyes. I can't help but be moved inside. Emotions stir, causing ripples in my heart. Zhou Zixuan is still counting all the kindnesses I showed her over the years, remembering how I would silently prepare brown sugar ginger tea during her period. Knowing her stomach was weak, I would prepare light meals for her in advance. She casually mentioned liking a book, and the next time we met, that book would appear right in front of her. All those little details I thought she had never noticed. She remembered them all. But these shared memories, in her mouth, were filled with belated cherishing and beauty. Yet to my ears, they turned into a history of bitterness I couldn't bear to revisit. Enough, really enough. What exactly are you trying to say? Just say it directly. I interrupted her. I'm leaving. Zhou Zixuan stopped in her tracks, looked at me, her eyes serious. Where are you going? I'll give you a ride. Are you going to say it or not? If not, I'll call a cab myself. I frowned, not wanting to tangle with her any longer. What I want to say is I want to give you a ride. Zhou Zixuan stared at me stubbornly. As an old classmate, running into you at the hospital, giving you a lift, that's not too much to ask, is it? You clearly promised yesterday that you wouldn't resist me like this. How can you go back on your word? The next moment, she started bringing up how gentle I used to be, how trustworthy, how good. Her nagging irritated me, and I just wanted to get away as soon as possible. Reluctantly, I gave in. All right, I agree. Go get your car. Good. Zhou Zixuan's eyes lit up. I promise you right away. Don't sneak off. Wait, my old classmate. She repeatedly urged me not to run off before quickly walking toward the parking lot. I won't run. But as I watched her receding figure, I immediately walked to the roadside, ready to hail a taxi. Strangely though, the hospital entrance, usually bustling with traffic, had no empty taxis today. I waited for ages without seeing a single cab. Seeing that Zhou Zixuan's car was about to drive over, I quickly lowered my head and walked briskly along the sidewalk, planning to flag a taxi at the next intersection. Xiaoyu, I knew you'd try to sneak away. Before I had gone far, a familiar horn sounded beside me. I turned my head. Zhou Zixuan had rolled down her window, cruising slowly alongside me. Her face carried a hint of an I knew it look, mixed with a little hurt. Get in, old classmate. She stopped the car. I looked at her, and finally, helplessly, opened the door. Got in. Where to? She asked. I don't know. Just drive anywhere. I said grumpily. But Zhou Zixuan acted as if I had said something sweet. Her eyes curved into a smile. Do you mean you want to spend more time with me? I was speechless, silently turned to look out the window. When did I ever notice she was so good at taking advantage of an opening, and so hard to shake off? To Li Feng's place. I gave an address, then immediately added, don't say another word. Let me have some peace, or I'll get out right now. The threat worked. Zhou Zixuan shut her mouth, drove in silence, but her speed was unbearably slow, as if she was deliberately stretching out the drive. Want to spend a little more time with me? I can't be bothered to call that out, nor do I care to interfere. After all, the destination will be reached eventually. Just like how no matter how much my marriage with her is entangled and delayed, there will eventually come a day when we part ways amicably. I don't know how much time passed. I closed my eyes to rest in the car, feeling drowsy. In the silence, Zhou Zixuan suddenly spoke up. Her voice was not loud, but exceptionally clear and earnest. Xiaoyu, your illness. Director Liu and I have repeatedly studied and discussed it. We all agree that your condition is not as bad as you imagine. So absolutely, given your current state, if you can actively cooperate with treatment, adjust your mindset, it's not impossible to control the illness, extend your survival period, or even see a turnaround. Zhou Zixuan's tone was more serious and earnest than ever before. Lately, my illness has almost become his obsession. He spent days and nights consulting literature, studying medical records, discussing plans with Director Liu. What medical professionals fear most is, when facing the illness of the one they love most, that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness. Zhou Zixuan didn't want to suffer such a calamity. Before, he hadn't realized. Now he has realized. He absolutely cannot accept me giving up like this. How could he give up on my life? He still wants to spend the rest of his life with me. So this was Zhou Zixuan's real purpose in insisting on seeing me off. But I never thought I could survive. From the moment I learned I had a terminal illness, everything I did was about letting go and cutting ties, severing personal relationships, arranging affairs after my death, arranging for my parents. No need. I looked out the window, my voice calm. The time I have left should be enough for me to visit a few places I've always wanted to see. Not enough, far from enough. When Zhou Zixuan heard this, I still want to give up treatment. She suddenly became anxious. Her voice even rose a bit. China is so vast. There are so many places you want to go. You need a very long time to travel and see them. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. After seeing them all, there are still so many sights at home and abroad. I will always be by your side. Xiaoyu, I can't lose you either. You can't be so irresponsible. These urgent words came one after another. I understood what she meant, but my heart was like a well that had been dried up for too long, could no longer stir any ripples. We are already divorced. I turned to look at her reddened eyes. My tone remained flat. I have no obligation to be responsible for you. That's still not acceptable. You must undergo treatment. Zhou Zixuan almost shouted. Then she immediately realized her tone was too harsh. She quickly softened her voice, with a sobbing tone. If there's no obligation as a spouse, then there's still the obligation as an old classmate, as a friend. What obligation does an old classmate have? I retorted. The obligation to live well. Zhou Zixuan grabbed my arm, her fingers trembling slightly. Xiaoyu, I don't care, even if you never want to get back together with me in this life, or never talk to me again. I still need you to live well. Please, promise me you'll accept treatment, okay? Trust me. I can do it. Director Liu also said. There's still a chance. Everything hasn't reached the final step yet. Please. She grew more and more agitated. Her voice choked up. Tears fell uncontrollably. I hadn't expected her to react so strongly. Perhaps it was her professional instinct as a doctor. Can't stand seeing a patient give up treatment. I didn't take it to heart. Just then, the car arrived at the entrance of Li Feng's neighborhood. I'm here. I opened the car door, ready to get out. Xiaoyu, Zhou Zixuan called out from behind me. Her voice was hoarse and broken. I'm sorry. I was too agitated just now. I shouldn't have pushed you, but you still have a chance. Please think it over again, okay? She wiped away her tears, as if suddenly remembering something. Sun Siu. He wants to add you as a contact, to have a chat with you. Would you be willing? Listening to Zhou Zixuan's cautious voice, looking at her reddened eyes. How could I not understand her? Right now, that feeling of holding onto a humble hope inside her. For the past 5 years, I had been feeling that way all along. Perhaps when a person is about to die, their words turn kind. Or perhaps I finally let go completely, unable to harden my heart. Or maybe I felt that Sun Siu hadn't actually done anything wrong. I was silent for a few seconds. In the end, I nodded gently. Okay. Back at Li Feng's place. He hadn't returned yet. I had just put down my things. When my phone buzzed, it was a new friend request. The requester, Sun Siu. Request note. Brother Xiaoyu. I'm Sun Siu. There's something I want to say to you. Mind having a chat? Seeing that name again. My feelings were complicated. I really didn't dislike Sun Siu. I even felt we were kindred spirits in some way. But I didn't know what he wanted to talk about now. With an indescribable feeling, I still clicked. Accept friend request. As soon as I got Sun Siu's message, it was sent over right away. As straightforward as ever. Brother Xiaoyu, do you have time this afternoon? I want to meet you and have a few words. He is still so straightforward. My fingers hover over the screen. For a moment, I don't know how to reply. Regarding Sun Siu, my emotions have always been complicated. In front of him, I am a complete failure. In Zhou Zixuan's heart, I have never beaten him even once. I used to be jealous of him, even secretly hated him. Hated that he didn't have to do anything to easily occupy all of Zhou Zixuan's thoughts. But last time we met, after he shared some heartfelt words with me, I realized he is not the kind of scheming person I imagined. On the contrary, I feel that we actually get along quite well. All the conflicts and opposition between us stem from Zhou Zixuan. He is Zhou Zixuan's childhood friend, the secret moonlight in her heart, and I am Zhou Zixuan's legal husband, but a wretch who has never entered her heart. Now Zhou Zixuan and I are divorced. I should have completely cut ties with Sun Siu, and had no further connection with anyone around him. But for some reason, a faint urge to go see Sun Siu stirred within me. I wanted to know what he really wanted to say to me. My train was in the evening anyway, so I had a few seconds in the afternoon to think. I replied, fine, you set the time and place. Sun Siyu quickly sent me a restaurant location and meeting time. That afternoon I went to the restaurant Sun Siyu had booked. It was a private kitchen with an elegant atmosphere. Not many people. Very quiet. Sun Siyu had already arrived, sitting by the window. When he saw me, he immediately stood up, an apologetic smile spreading across his face. Brother Xiaoyu, long time no see. Sun Siyu. He seemed somewhat changed. The confident energy from our last meeting was gone from his face. Instead, it added a bit of composure. We sat down and ordered. The atmosphere was awkward for a moment. After all, we weren't really close. And we had few common topics. It was Sun Siyu who spoke first. He held the water glass with both hands. His fingertips applied slight pressure. His expression was very serious, even with a hint of solemnity. Brother Xiaoyu, the reason I called you out this time has no other intention. I just want to apologize to you in person. I was a bit surprised. Apologize for what? Sun Siyu lowered his head. His voice was low. For all the stupid things I did before without knowing. And the stupid things I said. I really didn't know you and Sister Zixuan were married. If I had known, I would never have said in front of you those things about my past with her. And I definitely wouldn't have asked that damn question. She looked up. Her eyes were full of sincere guilt. I know my existence. My words must have hurt you. Maybe even one of the reasons that drove you away. I am truly very sorry to you. So that's what it's about. The wariness in my heart suddenly relaxed. I even felt a bit relieved. There's nothing that can't be said. I didn't really mind you too much. You don't need to blame yourself too much. My tone was calm. My leaving does have some relation to you. But to say I was driven away by you would be an exaggeration. Bringing it up again, I no longer have the jealousy and hatred I once had. Only remains the kind of a dying person, seeing through the world with calmness and detachment. The reason I left is more because of the problems between Zhou Zixuan and me. My feelings for her have been exhausted, and I can't wait any longer. It's a matter between her and me, it has nothing to do with you. Faced with my openness, the guilt in Sun Siyu's eyes only deepened. But Sister Zixuan, it's also because of me that she did those things that hurt you. No matter what, I can't escape blame for your divorce. I am a sinner. Brother Xiaoyu. He looked at me with very sincere eyes. To be honest with you, after we talked last time, I really started to see you as a friend I could open up to. It might be too late to realize this now, but I still hope you can give Sister Zixuan another chance. Can you two remarry? Sun Siyu's words caught me completely off guard. I had thought many people might urge me to remarry Zhou Zixuan, parents, friends, even Director Liu. But I never expected Sun Siyu to say such a thing. Logically, with Zhou Zixuan and me divorced, he should be the one with the best chance. But now I really don't understand what Sun Siyu is thinking. I couldn't help asking. I don't get it. Didn't you express your feelings for Zhou Zixuan that day? Now that she's single again, why aren't you pursuing her? Instead, you're trying to persuade me? That wasn't love. Almost without a second thought, he immediately shook his head. Denying it, there was no hint of spite in his eyes. Only clarity and honesty. Brother Xiaoyu, I told you, Sister Zixuan and I grew up together. In my heart, I've always truly seen her as an older sister, as my best friend. That has never changed over all these years. Even during my weakest moments after my own divorce, when she stayed by my side, I never developed romantic feelings for her. As for why I asked you that question that day, he gave a bitter smile. It was probably because I had just gotten divorced. At my lowest point emotionally, Sister Zixuan was there for me unconditionally, comforting me, giving me the support and warmth I desperately needed at the time. I mistook that dependence and gratitude for a crush. It wasn't until after you left, those few days when I couldn't reach Sister Zixuan, that I found her at her home. Seeing how haggard she looked, barely holding herself together. She cried to me, saying she had lost you. That was the moment I finally learned the truth, and realized how much damage I had unknowingly caused to your marriage. Sun Siyu took a deep breath, his tone heavy. Brother Xiaoyu, actually I never told you. My ex-wife also had another man living in her heart. We had almost the same experience. That's why I couldn't accept myself for becoming an accomplice in ruining someone's marriage. I don't want to be a sinner, and I can't get past this in my own heart. So that day I had a thorough talk with Sister Zixuan. We clarified the relationship between us. It was during that conversation that I truly saw my own heart. What I felt for Sister Zixuan was never love. It was just trust and closeness like between friends. And Sister Zixuan felt the same toward me. She had already let go. So Sister Zixuan and I are just like you and me. We will always be very good friends. And nothing else will ever mix in. Sun Siyu looked at me, his eyes clear and sincere. Brother Xiaoyu, you have to believe that the person in Sister Zixuan's heart has long been you. She just woke up too late. Sun Siyu's words fell one by one. like stones dropped into a calm lake, stirring complex ripples in my heart. Turned out that behind the story I didn't know, there was such a completely different perspective. But no matter how sincere his words were, even if Zhou Zixuan's feelings for Sun Xiu were truly just like a sister to a brother, still couldn't change my firm resolve to get a divorce. There is no absolute right or wrong in love, but the coldness and the pain in it, only those who live through it truly know. Even if Zhou Zixuan had no romantic feelings for Sun Xiu, what about her feelings for me? In those 5 years, did she ever give me even a shred of love in return? If she had loved me even a little, how could I have not felt it at all? So facing Sun Xiu's sincere and hopeful gaze, I could only remain silent. After a long while, I finally spoke slowly. Xiu, I understand how you feel, but I cannot agree to your request. Zhou Zixuan and I have been married for 5 years. I fell in love with her the moment I first saw her. There was a time when I was utterly devoted to her, feeling that she was the only one for me. But you need to understand. I looked into his eyes, my tone calm and desolate. If it were solely because of your existence, that could never have completely worn away my feelings for her, or driven me to the point of despair and choosing to let go. A life is made of over 1800 days and nights, made of those seemingly insignificant neglects and dismissals, made of promises he easily gave up, made of the times she unhesitatingly put me behind her for you. These trivial little things, these seemingly careless actions, slowly accumulated over a long time, eventually became the boulder that crushed the relationship. That's why I said it's not because of you, because even without you, these problems in our marriage would not disappear. One day another trigger would set it off. The ending between Zhou Zixuan and me was destined. Sun Xiu treated me with sincerity, so I returned sincerity to him. These are all my true feelings. At this moment, Sun Xiu fell silent. He stopped trying to persuade me. A complex emotion flickered in his eyes. Xiu, you are different from me. You should know about my illness. I don't have much time left, so I want to live entirely according to my own will in these final days, without any compromise or reluctance. But your life is still long. Whether it's that childhood friendship, or the marriage that just ended, they are only temporary storms and shadows on your path. Your road ahead is always filled with sunshine. So nothing is too late. You don't need to feel guilty, nor do you need to blame yourself. You just need to keep moving forward, and you will embrace the beautiful future that belongs to you. I paused, my tone gentle yet firm. Just think of it as a hug for me. No need to dwell on the past anymore. I gently patted Sun Xiu on the shoulder. At that moment, he seemed to understand the deeper meaning in my words. For the rest of the meal, we tacitly avoided bringing up feelings and marriage again. Instead, like old friends who admired each other, we talked about other things. About life, about the future, about some trivial, light-hearted anecdotes. After we parted, we stood up to say goodbye. Take care, Brother Xiaoyu, Sun Xiu said, looking at me, his eyes sincere. Wherever you go, I hope you are safe and well. You too look forward. I smiled at her, turned and walked away. Sun Xiu stood there watching my retreating figure, not moving for a long time. His face showed no expression, but his eyes seemed to have understood something, or as if he had unloaded a heavy burden. He bent down from an extremely hidden corner under the dining table, and removed a micro-recorder. Sun Xiu knew that Zhou Zixuan had been listening all along, but the prolonged silence at that moment made the atmosphere feel a bit stagnant. Sister Zixuan. Sun Xiu spoke softly into the microphone. Are you okay? There was a long silence on the other end. After a while, Zhou Zixuan's hoarse, choked voice came through. I'm fine. Thank you. Xiu. Really thank you. If it weren't for you, I might never have had the chance to hear Xiao Yu's true thoughts from her heart. Sun Xiu let out a slight sigh. It's nothing. You helped me through so many dark times. This is the least I could do. But Brother Xiaoyu's attitude is more resolute than we imagined. Sister Zixuan, do you think you still have a chance? Zhou Zixuan couldn't be sure either. At that moment, her heart was a mess of complicated emotions, like an overturned spice rack. Before this, she stubbornly thought his departure was because he always held a grudge about her past with Sun Xiu. But only now, hearing my words with her own ears, did she suddenly realize she perhaps had never truly understood this man. The harm she caused him was far deeper and heavier than she imagined. But could everything really be beyond repair? Zhou Zixuan was unwilling to accept it. She was silent for a long time, so long that Sun Xiu thought she wouldn't answer. Zhou Zixuan finally spoke slowly. Her voice was very soft, yet exceptionally firm. Whether it can be mended, I am not sure, but I am very clear. My heart, I love you. I hope her remaining years have no pain, no illness, can be safe and joyful. If one day her remaining years truly have no me, that is also okay. At least he is healthy. Happy at least. I have tried my best. I will have no regrets. Zhou Zixuan's last words were unusually calm, yet carried a determination as if burning the boats. Sun Xiu was moved by what he heard. A hint of relieved smile unconsciously appeared on his face. Sister Zixuan, go bravely. I will always support you. This was also what Brother Xiaoyu said. What does the storm and failure matter? They are only temporary differences in life. As long as we strive to move forward, they will eventually pass. The only thing we need to do is to have no regrets. Sun Xiu's words were forceful and firm. Zhou Zixuan gave a heavy hum on the other end, then hung up the phone. It's about time. She needed to go see the person in her heart. On the other side, I had already said goodbye to Li Feng and arrived at the airport, ready to officially begin my planned journey around the world for the rest of my life. Perhaps I will die somewhere along the journey. Perhaps I can hold out and visit a few of the planned places, then return to my parents. But I have no obsession with returning to my roots. I only hope that, in my final days, I can see as many different faces of this world as possible. Then stop wherever fate takes me. Wherever that is will be my final resting place. I completed the check-in procedures, passed through security and arrived at the boarding lounge. Perhaps because my mood was relatively calm. My body had no particular discomfort. Other passengers were still boarding one after another. I sat in a window seat, turned my head to look out at the vast tarmac, looked further into the blue sky. I have always believed that in the distance there must be scenery I look forward to seeing. There is a life I have never experienced. With this broken body and the little time left, I will bravely go forward. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Li Feng, with a photo attached. Dude, do you think I'm seeing things? How does this figure from behind look so much like your ex-wife? He saw the words ex-wife at the airport. My heart skipped a beat. I opened that photo again, though it was just a hurriedly passing figure from behind. I was too familiar with Zhou Zixuan. I recognized her almost at a glance. The photo was clearly taken at the airport, and judging by the lighting and angle it was just a short while ago. Li Feng had just seen me off and left. A sense of foreboding suddenly surged in my heart. This woman is not going to haunt me and follow me again, is she? When did you take it? I replied immediately. Just now, after seeing you off. I went to the parking lot to get my car. Just happened to see someone who looked like her and took it just now. So she might be on the same flight as me. I immediately stood up and looked around the entire boarding lounge. There weren't many passengers near the boarding gate. Most had already lined up to board. If Zhou Zixuan were on this flight of mine, then she must have already boarded. Or she was in line and I didn't see her. Probably just a coincidence. Or maybe she was also here to catch a plane. But a different flight. I breathed a slight sigh of relief, and sat back down. But just as I closed my eyes to rest, and waited for the final boarding announcement, a somewhat hurried sound of high heels approached from afar and stopped by the seat next to mine. Then a familiar light fragrance drifted over, along with a deliberately surprised exclamation. Oh, what a coincidence, old classmate. My body stiffened. Reluctantly, I opened my eyes. Sure enough, Zhou Zixuan's face, with a hint of blush, appeared just above the seat beside mine. She looked like she had run all the way here. Her hair was even a little messy, but her eyes were filled with undisguised delight and a kind of, finally caught you cunning. Rushing so much and still calling it a coincidence? Who are you trying to fool? If not for that photo from Li Feng, I might have believed her a little. But now I remember you have a strong sense of punctuality, and hate rushing the most. I looked at her and calmly pointed out the flaw. Zhou Zixuan blinked. The smile on her face deepened, with a bit of playfulness. You pay that much attention to me? Do you still have feelings for me? Then maybe I should consider asking you to remarry me. One sentence left me speechless again. The plane began to taxi for takeoff. I would be cut off from everything on the ground for 2 or 3 hours. The good news was, no one could disturb me during these hours. The bad news was that the person most capable of disturbing me was sitting right next to me, and she showed no sign of letting me off. Unexpectedly, this journey wasn't as hard to endure as I had imagined. Zhou Zixuan was much quieter than I expected. She didn't keep endlessly talking about remarriage or treatment, nor did she keep crying and apologizing. Most of the time, she just quietly watched the sea of clouds outside the window, or rested with her eyes closed, or secretly glanced at me from the corner of her eye. Occasionally, she would hand me a bottle of water or a thin blanket, acting naturally, as if we were just old classmates traveling together. Gradually, I wasn't as repulsed as I had been at first. By being around her, at least having someone beside me, made the journey less lonely. But I still couldn't figure out what method she used to always know exactly where I was. Once or twice, such coincidences could be chance. 3 times, 4 times, definitely deliberate. Zhou Zixuan was like an unstoppable sticky candy, clinging to me for nearly a week. No matter where I spontaneously decided to detour, she would always show up not long after I arrived, then use that same, what a coincidence, old classmate act to brush it off. I could only respond with silence. Such little tricks. Back when I was chasing her, I used them for over a decade, and had long mastered them. Now that she was using them on me, it was truly karma coming full circle. Although she kept her promise, and never mentioned remarriage, only interacting as an old classmate, seeing that familiar face hovering before me every day, gave me the illusion that we were still married. That feeling was terrible. In the end, I was the first to break. In the courtyard of an old town inn, I stopped Zhou Zixuan, who was about to bump into me, and cut straight to the point. Zhou Zixuan, tell me honestly, what method are you using to find me every single time? Zhou Zixuan blinked, looking completely innocent. It's simple, she said, pointing a finger at the sky. What does that mean? I frowned. It means it's destined. By the heavens. She tilted her head, smiling like a sly fox. I was speechless, pausing for a few seconds before responding. Superstitious nonsense. Can't you just go back to your own life? You quit your job. Zhou Zixuan replied succinctly. Her eyes were serious as she looked at me. Work isn't important. My whole world is right in front of me. This is the life I want. What can I do? It's destined by fate. No one can change it. Zhou Zixuan's attitude gave me a headache. I finally couldn't hold back, and proposed a condition. I don't believe in destiny. I just want to spend my final moments alone in peace. If destiny really exists, I looked at her. Then why don't we make a bet? Zhou Zixuan's eyes lit up. She immediately leaned closer. Bet on what? I took a deep breath, and told her the plan I had long thought out. You said finding me was destiny, right? Fine, this time neither of us brings a phone. Just a metro card and 100 yuan. Right here in the city. Until the last metro train tonight. If we happen to meet in the same subway car on the same train, then I'll believe you. Believe in this damn destiny. Zhou Zixuan raised an eyebrow. And the wager? The wager is, I looked at her. No matter who wins, the loser has to unconditionally grant the winner one request. And it can't be insincere. Full cooperation required. Really? Zhou Zixuan was instantly thrilled. A brilliant smile she couldn't hide spread across her face. You can't back out. Of course I won't. Then I win. Zhou Zixuan said immediately. Her eyes were incredibly serious. My request is, you come back with me and receive proper treatment. Cooperate actively. Don't give up. It wasn't a request to bring him back to life. I breathed a slight sigh of relief. I nodded. Okay. I nodded. Okay. So my wishes don't matter? Zhou Zixuan cuts me off, full of confidence, her eyes shining like stars, because I was bound to win. I really don't know where her confidence comes from. In a completely unfamiliar big city with over a dozen metro lines, hundreds of stations, and countless passengers crossing paths, without any means of communication, with no way to agree on a location or time, relying solely on a chance encounter. The odds are even lower than winning the lottery jackpot. 5 minutes later, Zhou Zixuan and I meet in the hotel lobby. We check each other, confirming that each of us only has a metro card and some loose change, no phones or other electronic devices. The bet officially begins. We go downstairs together and enter the nearest metro station. In front of the ticket gates, we exchange a glance. Then Zhou Zixuan smiles at me. Good luck, old classmate. You too. We turn and head toward 2 opposite gates. Swipe our cards and enter. Each steps onto a different escalator, merging into crowds heading in different directions. As the train doors close, each other's figure completely disappears from sight. At that moment, I finally breathe a huge sigh of relief. What fate or destiny? If there really is a God, why would he give me an incurable disease? Why make me spend 5 years just to end up with a heart as cold as ashes? I don't believe in heaven, only in myself. Just as I take the metro for one stop, I get off at the nearest exit, then walk all the way back to the hotel quickly. I had already packed my luggage. Back in the room, I grab my suitcase and check out, all in one smooth motion. In the same metro network, there are millions of possibilities for 2 different people to cross paths. Maybe there really will be one encounter. But Zhou Zixuan and I were no longer on the same path. From the very beginning, this gamble was nothing but a destined, impossible dream. I pulled my luggage out of the elevator and walked to the hotel front desk to check out. The receptionist smiled. Then, as if remembering something, she looked up and said to me, Mr. Yang from room 1206, correct? Checking out, all right. Please wait a moment. Your wife booked our hotel's private car airport transfer for you. The driver is already waiting at the entrance. Or you can rest in the car first. Her words made my brain short-circuit instantly. I repeated almost subconsciously, my wife, yes. Mrs. Yang is waiting for you in the car. The receptionist smiled and gestured toward a black commercial van parked right in front of the hotel entrance. I stood there stunned. A sense of foreboding shot through me, reaching its peak. I pulled my luggage and strode quickly out of the hotel, heading straight for the van. I yanked open the rear door. Sure enough, Zhou Zixuan was sitting upright in the back seat, a knowing smile on her face, watching me calmly. You cheated. I stared at her, dumbfounded, barely able to form a complete sentence. Zhou Zixuan smiled but said nothing. After a long pause, she replied softly, off topic, Xiaoyu, I knew you would try to sneak away. I was speechless. Finally, I forced out a sentence. You definitely cheated. Otherwise, how did you know I'd come back to the hotel? How did you know I'd check out and leave immediately? Zhou Zixuan didn't answer directly. Instead, she pulled out a subway card from her bag, today's date on it. The card was brand new, clearly never used. She handed it to me, her gaze earnest and gentle. If I could cheat, I would use any method to keep you free from illness and pain, and by my side forever.